What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. Grandson of Garp. 1 Ma. Chapter 1 I, Monkey Layfon, have a system. Advertisement. I, Layfon, am 7 years old. It has been 7 years since I traveled to the world of pirates. I thought that I was born in an ordinary family. In this dangerous sea, it's actually quite good to be a frog at the bottom of the well. I didn't really understand until yesterday. My cheap dad who hasn't returned for 7 years, his full name is Monkey D Dragon. And my full name is, Monkey D Layfon. Standing on the shore, Layfon looked at the blue sea in the distance with a dazed expression on his face. What happened just yesterday is still vivid and unforgettable. Even as a time traveler, Layfon still couldn't think of it. Cheap Daddy, who hadn't returned home after 7 years, suddenly returned home, accompanied by a group of mysterious figures in black clothes covering their faces. There is a guy with a big face and looks neither male nor female, who calls his cheap daddy, Monkey D Dragon. Yes, that's right, it's that Monkey D Dragon. Known as the most vicious and dangerous criminal in the world. The leader of the mysterious and powerful revolutionary army. In addition, presumably, there should be no second Monkey D Dragon in this world, right? That moment, Layfon just realized. Big problem. Emotion. I still have a huge background. It turned out to be the 8-year-old son of Monkey D Dragon. Is the blood of the monkey family flowing in my body? As a time traveler, Layfon didn't know whether he should be excited or lament the impermanence of the world. It has already been done, the idea of being a safe and stable ordinary person. Spend this life in peace, and don't go to the sea to fight for the throne of the so-called One Piece. Things are unpredictable. Out of nowhere, he became the son of Monkey D Dragon. That is to say, today's marine hero, the Monkey D Garp, is his own grandfather. And the other one, who is still wandering in the sea, murmurs to become the Monkey D. Luffy, whom One Piece has never met before, and is his big brother. Thinking of this immediately made Layfon's thinking messy. Just yesterday. Advertisement. Layfon finally left the birthplace where he had lived for 7 years, and was thrown by his cheap father Long to the windmill village of East Blue, and handed over to the care of his grandfather Garp who stayed in the windmill village temporarily. Then, Long was very unrestrained, led many subordinates, and left windmill village quietly, leaving only a few words for Garp to describe Layfon's identity. Layfon vaguely remembered. When I first met Garp. Garp's expression at that time was incomparably bewildered. How could Garp have expected the sudden addition of a 7-year-old grandson? Not only is Garp hard to accept, even Layfon, a traveler with an adult soul, still has a very cloudy head, and his thinking has been disturbed by many sudden news. As a traverser with a prominent family, Grandpa is today's Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral, and even an irreplaceable hero in Marine, Garp the Fist. Father, you are the leader of the only revolutionary army organization that has the power to subvert the world government right now, Monkey D Dragon. There is also a big brother who has never met, has an unreliable personality and a big nerve, called Monkey D. Luffy, a future One Piece. And I, in this powerful family, should have been able to be a carefree salted fish. But it made me even more unexpected happened. I, Layfon, am 7 years old and the system was activated yesterday. Just yesterday, the system suddenly activated. It was also the activation of the system that changed Layfon's 7-year philosophy. As a traveler, the system is of course a must. But Layfon has never expected that it has been 7 years. How did the system come, and the delay time is too high? A full 7 years, and with the system activated. Layfon's desire to be a salted fish was completely exhausted and wiped out. It looks like, even God doesn't want me to be a salted fish. Originally, Layfon has no ambitions, and just wants to spend his life quietly in this dangerous sea. But reality tells Layfon, he himself not only has a prominent family background, but also possesses a system. Thus, what reason does Layfon have to be a salted fish? Furthermore, I have to say that the monkey family's troublemaking ability is all over the top. Advertisement. As a member of the monkey family, Layfon can only prevent himself from dying at the hands of these troublesome enemies one day by improving his own strength. After calming down the many thoughts in his mind a little, Layfon looked away. Take a look around. I see. This is a small village with simple folk customs and very simple building houses. You can also see huge windmills standing inside and outside the village, turning with the wind. This is Windmill Village in East Blue. Home of Garp, Dragon, Luffy. Same. Nowadays, Windmill Village has also become the hometown of Layfon. The facts cannot be changed. What Layfon can do now is to do everything possible to allow himself to accept the many events that happened one after another more quickly, and to accept his own identity and background. It's been exactly 1 day since the system was activated. Sure, you can check in for the first time, right? Layfon was lost in thought. The system he activated was the daily check-in system. The capabilities of the system are very easy to understand. You can log into the system once every accumulated day. With each check-in, you can get different reward packages from the system. The reward packs contain a lot, such as Haki, swordplay, devil fruit and more. These can be obtained by signing in from the system. Certainly, the rewards for daily check-in are not fixed. Layfon cannot decide the rewards for sign-in, and can only be obtained at will by luck. And at this moment, it's just 1 day since Layfon activated the system. Suppress the many thoughts in your mind. Layfon's expression was full of anticipation, and his mind moved. System, start the first sign in. Chapter 2 Sign in for the first time, reward Conqueror's Haki. Advertisement. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket. The cumulative time of the detection system has reached 24 hours. Sign in is available, please host to confirm again, do you want to sign in? Close black lens bracket. The sound of the system suddenly appeared in Layfon's mind. Crisp and sweet, buzzing in the ear, constantly wandering. And, let Layfon have infinite sense of expectation. This is the first time Layfon has signed in, and he himself can't predict what kind of ability reward package he can get from the system when he signs in. Sign in. Layfon didn't hesitate. Words just fell. The sound of the system sounded again. Open black lens bracket sign in successfully. Close black lens bracket. Congratulations to host, you have won the ability gift package for the first sign in reward. Do you want to open the ability gift package? Close black lens bracket. Yes. Layfon's eyes twinkled brightly, and he confirmed again. Ability gift pack is opening. Open black lens bracket enabled. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Congratulations to host, you got Conqueror's Haki from the ability gift pack. Close black lens bracket. As the system sound rang in his head, Layfon froze briefly. Immediately, a strong sense of ecstasy welled up in my heart. Layfon's eyes widened, his face full of excitement. Conquerors. It's actually Conqueror's Haki. Check in the system for the first time, and you will get Conqueror's Haki from the ability gift pack. This makes Layfon feel only. Could it be that I am the legendary Emperor? Oh. This is Conquerors. It is said that only one person in a million will have the potential to be a king. Just by yourself, so easy to get. Until now, Layfon feels his head is a little dizzy. This surprise came too suddenly. The first time I signed in, I got Conquerors from the gift bag. Layfon was completely indescribable. What kind of luck did I have? Or rather, are all the abilities in the ability gift pack so advanced? But this possibility is not high, and it was quickly ruled out by Layfon. At the same time, just when Layfon's thoughts were flying, a warm current began to appear in the body out of thin air, lingering in the body's limbs, blood vessels, and bones. Advertisement. And a flood of memories flooded into Layfon's head quickly, and a lot of information lingered in Layfon's head overwhelmingly. After a while, Layfon let out a heavy breath, opened his eyes, and an excited smile appeared on his face. Now I have taken control of Conqueror's Haki. This high-end fighting method. Under the watering of systematic knowledge, Layfon only felt that his control of Conqueror's Haki was a matter of course, and everything became easy to do, simple and without hindrance. As if, like an innate ability, you can use it at will. The use of Conquerors is so simple. Layfon smiled. At the same time, in front of his eyes, a virtual panel of the system suddenly appeared, which he could see but couldn't touch. Open black lens bracket host. Layfon close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket power. 5 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket speed. 6 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket physical strength. 4 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket skill. Conquerors have killed 1 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket skill point. 0 close black lens bracket. This is my personal attribute panel. Layfon carefully looked at the virtual panel popped up by the system. Without thinking too much, he recognized this panel as his attribute panel. The skill column should have been empty here. But with the ability gift package that was rewarded for signing in just now, Layfon awakened instantly and took control of Conquerors. Therefore, Conqueror's Haki will appear on the skill bar. My strength is still very weak. Basically, an ordinary adult can easily crush me. However, with the awakening of Conqueror's Haki, it means that I have gradually begun to have a certain means of self-protection ability. In addition, the system's daily sign in reward package. I have a strong premonition. My strength is about to usher in a very rapid transformation and leap forward. Layfon has a lot of self-confidence in his heart. The system is the capital to become stronger. Layfon, you little sneaky one ran to the beach, do you want to be a pirate like Luffy? I can tell you, you must become an excellent marine. A hulking old man with a ruddy complexion came menacingly from behind Layfon. He is Monkey D Garp. That is, grandpa of Layfon. At this time, Garp had already blown his hot fist, looked at Layfon with an unkind face, looked at the posture, obviously ready to give Layfon an iron fist of love. Although the contact is less than 2 days. But apparently. Advertisement. Garp has accepted. I was baffled by the fact that I had an extra 7-year-old grandson. After all, that guy Long wouldn't joke about this kind of thing. Old man, let me go into training with Coby and Berumeber today. Layfon turned and made a proposal. Coby and Belumbo are the subordinates who followed Garp back to East Blue and are still temporarily staying in Windmill Village. Now, these two are receiving Garp's daily devil training. Kindness. Garp's menacing momentum disintegrated more than half in an instant. He froze. Although, I have to admit that he has indeed begun to think about letting Layfon follow Coby and Berumeber into devil-style training. But he didn't expect it. Layfon will offer it. It reminded Garp. Think back to the past. He compulsively threw Ace and Luffy into the den of those dangerous beasts. By contrast, Garp couldn't help but give Layfon a high look. Good boy. I am very motivated. 7 years old. It is indeed time to accept these trainings. Back then, Ace and Luffy received devil training at the same age. Are you sure? Garp asked earnestly and earnestly, think about it clearly. Coby and Beru Meber's devilish training may cause injuries at any time. Moreover, my protection may not be able to completely guarantee your life safety. So, are you really ready to pay the price with your life? The words fell. Garp watched Layfon silently, waiting for the latter's reply. Didn't think too much about it. Layfon replied. Of course. Ha ha ha. Garp laughed suddenly, and patted Layfon's shoulder fiercely, and said with a face full of relief, as expected of my grandson. With this courage, I can be more sure now. In the future, you will definitely become a very good Marine. Layfon, who was slapped hard by Garp on the shoulder, gritted his teeth in pain. Old man, can you consider my feelings? My shoulder was almost crushed by you. Old man, you brat, no matter how big or small, you are called grandpa. Old man, little devil, it seems that I want you to feel the iron fistful of love. Chapter 3 My grandson may be a genius. Advertisement. This day, Layfon was taken by Garp to the back mountain of Windmill Village, a place called Devil's Forest. Since then, it can be officially announced that Layfon has successfully joined the devil-style training of Coby and Beru Meber, and has become a tortured part of the devil-style training. Coby is a boy with short pink hair. His 16-year-old face looks very immature. There is a hideous scar above the corner of his right eye. This scar is an indelible scar that Coby suffered during the devil training arranged by Garp during this period of time. It can be seen from this. The devil-style training arranged by Garp is really life-threatening. It's not just playing around and playing house. As for Beru Meber, he was a young man about the same age as Coby, with long curly blonde hair, and was taller than Coby. His name is Layfon, and he is my grandson. Garp pointed to Layfon, and began to introduce Coby and Beru Meber in front of him. Start today. Layfon, I will join your training. The words fell. Coby and Belumbo looked at Layfon in surprise, their expressions full of surprise. It's the first time they've heard of it. Besides the grandson Luffy, Vice Admiral Garp actually has another grandson, and the other party's age is still so young. Hi, my name is Coby. Coby was very friendly and shy and took the initiative to greet. My name is Belumbo. Brief introduction. The two met Layfon, who was only 7 years old, one after another. When informed, Layfon is only 7 years old, and he will be arranged by Garp to carry out the devil training with the same difficulty as them. They couldn't help but sigh secretly for Layfon. What a miserable child. Vice Admiral Garp, is this really all right? Coby looked at Garp slightly concerned. I didn't propose this, but Layfon, the kid himself, offered to participate in your devil-style training. Garp waved his hand casually, with an indifferent expression on his face. But, he is your grandson. Coby hesitated. Okay, I've already become a Marine, and I still can't change my mother-in-law's personality and habits. Garp turned to look at Layfon, and solemnly asked, Layfon, I told you in advance that if you can't hold on, you can quit. There is nothing shameful about it. At your age, it is normal for you to not be able to keep up with Coby's training level. Clear. Layfon nodded. Okay, now, let's start the training. Coby, Belumbo, take Layfon into the Devil's Forest. Garp training is very simple. In short, just throw people into forest lairs full of beasts, and Garp doesn't care about the rest. As for whether people live or die, Garp won't ask too much. This is Garp's devil training. Also known as Garp's devil-style training. The instructor is not Garp, but those ferocious beasts in the forest, they are Layfon's instructor. Looking at the dark and endless forest ahead, it was like a beast with its fangs open, waiting for people to jump into its belly. Layfon's expression was full of yearning and anticipation. Advertisement. Devil training. Nervous. Timid. Non-existent. He did not forget. I have a whole card. A life-saving whole card. Even without protection, Layfon didn't feel any panic. On the contrary, for this devil-like training, he is quite looking forward to it. Immediately, without hesitation, Layfon stepped forward and stepped into the Devil's Forest. Don't worry, Vice Admiral Garp, even if we risk our lives, we will definitely protect your grandson. With this in mind, Coby and Belumbo then entered the forest. Watching the three of Layfon disappear into the forest. Garp looked away, and began to ponder in his heart. The dragon explained to me before, the origin of Layfon, the kid. That is to say, before the age of 7, Layfon lived a life no different from ordinary people. Without any experience, can Layfon keep up with the training progress of Coby and Beru Meber, who have been training for many days? These questions were deeply entwined in Garp's mind. Then, with a thought, Garp's figure disappeared in place, lurking in the dark, following the three of Layfon all the time. Like a bystander, he checked the progress of the three to prevent accidents and so on. Although, it doesn't matter if you throw people into the beast's lair. But anyway, it was the first time Layfon had received this kind of training, and Garp was still a little uneasy. Furthermore, he also wanted to see it. Layfon, can you handle such devil training? Therefore, every move of the three of Layfon was clearly seen by Garp. Under Garp's observation, he found, at the beginning, Layfon really couldn't keep up with Coby's progress. But gradually, at a speed visible to the naked eye, it's pretty impressive to see Layfon's progress. At first, Layfon looked very embarrassed and completely became a drag. But the surprise is, this situation only lasted for less than 10 minutes. 10 minutes later, Layfon had already shown a fairly obvious adaptation, barely keeping up with the actions of Coby and Beru. This surprised Garp. However, Garp never expected. This change is just the beginning. 20 minutes later. Layfon has half adapted to this forest, and his movements have become very pure, looking like a hunter who has survived in the forest for many years. Also, the speed, response and other aspects have been greatly improved. Advertisement. The proficiency gave Garp the illusion of seeing an experienced hunter. This moment, Garp was startled. This adaptability. It's a bit exaggerated. It's only been 20 minutes, but are you almost catching up with Coby's rhythm? Garp's eyes became serious, observing intently and carefully. I see. About half an hour later. Layfon has grown to the point where it is close to rivaling Coby and Beru. Even if you are besieged by ferocious beasts, you can safely escape the attack of these ferocious beasts. It's just like, is it the instinct of the body? Garp's eyes twinkled, and his slightly wrinkled face showed deep admiration and satisfaction. What an amazing talent. He is indeed my grandson, with my blood flowing through him. It was less than half an hour before Layfon entered the forest. Although the time is short, but in Layfon's body, it took only half an hour to fully explain the huge transformation of a person's body. Yes, Garp's eyes saw it very accurately. Layfon is ushering in a huge transformation. Transform from a prey to an experienced hunter. And Layfon has initially shown that the physical fitness and abilities of a qualified hunter in the forest are all in place. This was completely beyond Garp's original expectations. Of course Garp didn't expect that. Layfon's ability to adapt is so fast. Half an hour before and after. Layfon can already be compared with Coby and Beru. It only took half an hour, but the results obtained are already enough to be compared with the efforts of Coby and Beru for nearly half a month. This ability to adapt is as terrifying as a monster. To know, Coby and Beru have gone through half a month of devil-style training. It is precisely because of this that they show such proficient movement skills in the forest. But Layfon, this is the first time through these ordeals. It was the first time in my life to experience this kind of ordeal, and it only took half an hour before and after, but it was already easily manageable. It was the first time in Garp's life that he had seen this kind of freak and alien. Then, whether it's Ace, or Luffy, they are far from being able to do anything similar to what Layfon did today. But Garp saw it in Layfon. The most important thing is that Layfon is only 7 years old this year. At the age of 7, he has already shown such a terrifying talent. This made Garp couldn't help being deeply moved, and his mood was stirred up. Dragon, you may not even dream of it. The son you brought back this time, my grandson. Layfon, he might really be a really amazing talent. Chapter 4 We Hate Geniuses. Open black lens bracket. Ask for a ticket for flowers. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. In the Devil's Forest, Coby looked at Layfon beside him, his eyes filled with deep shock. His mood was violently fluctuating, like sea waves blown by a storm, surging wave after wave, in an endless stream. This talent and adaptability, it's ridiculously strong. As this the grandson of Vice Admiral Garp, it can be said. Layfon's growth was witnessed by Coby. From the very beginning, I couldn't keep up with the rhythm. And then gradually integrated into his actions with Belumbo. In the end, standing side by side with the two of them, Layfon became extremely proficient in all aspects of movement and action, without any sense of jerky. This made Coby completely unimaginable. In just half an hour, it can actually bring such a huge change to a person. It's incredible. In half an hour, from a jerky novice to an experienced hunter. It would be hard for Coby to imagine it if he hadn't witnessed it with his own eyes. All this happened to a 7-year-old child. Simply horrifying the world. 7 years old, already showing such a terrifying talent. In the future, how terrible will it grow? Grunt. Coby swallowed, his mind becoming a mess. He is really hard to fathom. How strong will Layfon become in the future? Seeing Layfon, Coby seemed to see a high mountain, pressing hard on his heart, an unattainable and insurmountable mountain. Even though he was only 7 years old, he gave Coby an endless sense of oppression at this moment. Layfon, is this really the first time he has experienced Vice Admiral Garp's devilish training? If that's the case, then his adaptability is too terrifying. Coby never thought of the reason for this. All the reasons can only be boiled down to talent. Layfon's talent is too terrifying. Such a terrifying genius really exists in this sea. The results of half an hour of training are similar to the results of our half-month training. Coby's mood was in a frenzy and it was difficult to calm down. He has always believed, as long as you work hard, you will be able to follow in Luffy's footsteps and become the Admiral of Headquarters. To this end, Coby worked very hard into Garp's devil training, just to chase Luffy, and to keep narrowing the gap between himself and Admiral of Headquarters. But when I saw Layfon in front of me, Coby's self-confidence suffered an unprecedented blow. We have worked hard to train, and the final results may not be as good as Layfon's half-day effort is much more effective. Gap. It was the first time that Coby felt it so deeply. Advertisement. There is really a huge gap between people. This gap is inherent. It's hard to change at all. From Layfon, Coby seems to see it all the time. Layfon is everywhere. The unstoppable overflowing talent, the terrible talent that cannot be concealed is constantly released from Layfon. In Coby's eyes, Layfon is a genius beyond description. Coby, this, Beru's mood was almost exactly the same as Coby's. He was also dumbfounded. Layfon's performance is really outstanding. He couldn't imagine it. After half a month of hard work, it took Layfon half an hour to catch up with them. So compare. Wasn't there half a month just wasting their time and wasting time? The two looked at Layfon's eyes, full of shock and dullness, and were speechless for a while. This blow is too strong. In Layfon, who was only 7 years old, their self-confidence was severely smashed. After half a month of devil-like training, the care they had built up with great difficulty, with the appearance of Layfon today, cracked every inch and collapsed. Original. Coby doesn't believe in talent rounds. Until, after seeing Layfon. This moment, Coby gradually began to believe. Some people are born different. Obviously, Layfon, in Coby's eyes, is this kind of existence. At this time, Layfon noticed the emotional change between Coby and Berumeber. What's wrong? No, nothing. Coby hurriedly shook his head, and immediately asked in a weak and tentative tone, Mr. Layfon, I would like to ask. Is this really the first time you have participated in this kind of devil training? In this regard, Belumbo also hastily cast his gaze. Under the eyes of the two, Layfon replied with a smile. Yes, what's the matter? This shouldn't be hard for you to accept, right? After getting the answer, the moods of Coby and Belumbo have been numb from the shock. Difficult to accept. This is more than difficult to accept. I almost doubt my life. Call. Coby took a deep breath. It took a lot of time before he forcibly suppressed the many violent ups and downs in his heart. Okay, it's time to continue training. Advertisement. Layfon's eyes flickered as he stared at the forest ahead. After half an hour of tempering, he has almost comprehended all the survival experience in the forest. Under the chasing and killing of ferocious beasts, design and carry out counter-killing. Fight the beast head-on. These experiences made Layfon feel very clearly. I am becoming stronger at a terrifying speed. The taste of becoming stronger made him deeply intoxicated. Vice Admiral Garp, your grandson, why are one or two so terrifying? But, even a monster like Mr. Luffy, I'm afraid, is far inferior to Layfon. Coby thought with a face full of palpitations. Also let people live. I worked hard for half a month to achieve the results, but I gave others half an hour to overtake. This really makes him seem like a fool. Today, Coby didn't really realize until he saw Layfon. It turns out that in this world, there really exists such a terrifying genius beyond ordinary people's understanding. Let's go. Coby and Belumbo forcibly calmed down. A group of 3 continued to conduct survival trials in this dangerous forest. It's just different from when I first set foot in the Devil's Forest. The current Layfon has been able to fully keep up with the action rhythm of Coby and Berumeber. Even, over time, Layfon copes with these things more and more easily and with ease. This made Coby and Belumbo beside him see it in their eyes, and their moods were even more mixed. Just before entering the forest, the two of them were still thinking about it loudly in their hearts. In this training in the Devil's Forest, try to fulfill your responsibilities and obligations as a senior, try your best to protect Layfon's safety, and prevent Layfon from any accidents. Never thought, after half an hour, evolves directly into. The two of them seemed to be becoming a burden to the team. This slap in the face was too fast. Think about it. The two couldn't help crying in their hearts. We hate geniuses. Even more annoying, a genius who is at least half our age younger than us. Vice Admiral Garp, you didn't talk to us at all. Your grandson is actually a freak of this level. This devil-style training, it seems that we are not protecting him thoroughly. More like, he is protecting us. Chapter 5 Crazy Attempt. Accidents happen. Advertisement. After, Coby and Belumbo, who were holding various emotions, seemed a little careless, unable to concentrate on the current devil-style training. It is clear, both of them have been hit hard by the talent Layfon has shown. As a result, their mentality has changed to varying degrees. See that mammoth? Layfon asked Coby and Berumeber beside him. He looked straight ahead, his body was hidden in the grass, and his breath was completely restrained, like a lurker who was perfectly waiting for an opportunity. Look, I saw it. Coby quickly reacted, looked at the giant elephant in front of him, and nodded. The mammoth, the most common beast in the Devil's Forest, is 8 meters high, nearly 12 meters long, and weighs up to 20 tons. It is a very ferocious beast. Later, you two will attract its attention, and I will be in charge of harvesting. Layfon had a thought. Ming, understand. No, wait a minute. Coby widened his eyes and pointed at the giant elephant. Mr. Layfon, do you mean that we are going to actively provoke this beast? He was stunned. On weekdays, when encountering such a ferocious beast, they would have no time to escape. Now, actually want them to take the initiative to provoke this beast. Go crazy. Aren't you kidding me? Just rely on us. Belumbo's throat was dry. This is crazy. At this moment, he only felt that his hands became a little cold, and the hairs all over his body stood on end. Let them deal with behemoths of this level. Isn't this going to die? If this fierce beast weighing 20 tons landed, they would probably lose all their bones on the spot. Yes, it's up to us. Layfon's eyes twinkled. He wants to try. Unleash your limits by being squeezed by the crisis to ultimate. This. Coby's words were somewhat incoherent. He couldn't see through Layfon at all. Advertisement. Mingming is only 7 years old, but the other party's thinking ability, as well as courage, far surpass him and Belumbo, the two 15 or 16-year-old boys. But even so, this action is too crazy. Let's keep a low profile and focus on safety as much as possible. Belumbo was timid. The key, in his opinion. The gap between the two sides is really too big. They have just been trained by the devil for half a month, how can they deal with this huge beast? It's just a dream. Mr. Layfon, are you really sure about it? Coby couldn't help asking. He couldn't imagine that Layfon, who was only 7 years old, would use any means to defeat this behemoth. It's just an attempt, I'm only half sure if it will work. So, you two, also pay attention to your own safety. Layfon smiled and patted both shoulders. The two chatted for a while. 2 minutes later, under the pressure of their whole bodies, Coby and Balloon tried to approach the giant long-toothed elephant step by step with their trembling bodies. The pupils of the two were filled with strong timidity. Crazy, I must be crazy. I actually want to try to provoke this beast. Can you still regret it now? Balloombo kept muttering at the corner of his mouth. Calm down. Be sure to calm down. Coby forced his mind to calm down. But even so, his head was still in chaos, and his thinking ability seemed to have become rigid. See this scene. Garp, who was hiding in the dark, also widened his eyes. Are they crazy? These three brats actually want to provoke the long-toothed elephant. Garp was stunned. He couldn't even dream of it. These three brats are surprisingly courageous. In my memory. Advertisement. Coby and Belumbo don't seem to be such bold and reckless people. Layfon, what the hell is this kid trying to do? Garp immediately thought of Layfon. Under the gaze. I see. Coby and Barumber walked to the area less than 20 meters away from the giant elephant, and they faced the giant elephant so closely. This moment, the two of them just felt that their legs were a little weak. When the colossal creature stood in front of them, they could deeply understand how terrifying and oppressive this huge species was. Moo! The long-toothed elephant made a deafening cry, like thunder rolling, resounding through the sky. It almost broke the eardrums of the two of them. Wait a minute. Why do I feel that the ground under my feet is shaking? Belumbo's pupils shrank, and he looked at his feet in horror. Grunt. Coby swallowed, twisted his stiff neck, and glanced down. It seems like I stepped on the body of another beast. That is, we provoked two beasts at once. The words fell. Belumbo's legs went limp. The mammoth's roar just now was not because it saw us. Rather, the beast we were stepping on was discovered by it. Is the roar just now a warning? Coby couldn't move. He can feel it. The vibration frequency of the ground I stepped on became higher and higher. It's like a big earthquake. It was more violent than the earthquake shaking. At the same time, their field of vision has gradually been raised. It's like the body is held up by some kind of object. The images they both saw were constantly shaking. The whole world seemed to be shaken violently. Chapter 6 Conqueror's Haki, fully released. Second update. Advertisement. Stand still, don't move. Coby hurriedly yelled at Belumbo beside him. Now the situation was deadlocked, and neither beast noticed them. Once they move, the situation will be broken. And in the battle between two fierce beasts, they may be crushed at any time. In fact, I really want to move. Belumbo squeezed out a smile that was uglier than crying. His body is already stiff. Don't talk about moving around. Even if he is asked to escape now, he can't control his legs to escape. Not far. Layfon stared in Coby's direction. This wave. Looks like it's overkill. There has always been a beast hidden. This was something he hadn't expected before. Now. One time, provoked two-handed beasts. Layfon sensed that something was out of his control. Call. Exhaling heavily, Layfon stepped forward and approached the dangerous battlefield ahead. It was just an attempt. But now, he had to take it seriously. Because, in the current situation, if you are a little careless, you will really die. If you don't take it seriously, all three of them may be wiped out here. Woo! A roar and roar came from the mouth of the giant beast supporting the bodies of Coby and Barameb. The sound was so loud that it almost reached the sky. It exposed its body. It was a fierce beast similar to a tortoise, with a body length of 7 meters. Two giant beasts confront each other. The atmosphere is depressing. Layfon, little brat, if you don't pay attention, you will cause me a lot of trouble. After all, I have to make a move, otherwise the three of them will be in danger. Garp is preparing his shot and steps forward. But suddenly saw it. At this moment, Layfon is stepping towards the center of the two behemoths ahead. Then, Garp's movements came to a sudden and abrupt stop, and he came to a standstill. What the hell is this kid thinking? Is he crazy? Knowing that the middle of the two ferocious beasts is the most dangerous place, he still took the initiative to break into it. Maybe later, I might not even have time to save him. What nonsense. Don't abandon your companions, this is a very good character. But blindly and actively going to die without seeing the situation clearly, this is not bravery, it is stupid. The expression on Garp's face changed wildly, his brows were furrowed, and he stared at Layfon's back. He can't figure it out at all. Layfon, what the hell is he trying to do? To die, no doubt. According to Garp. Advertisement. Layfon's move is indistinguishable from death. These two beasts are obviously not what Layfon and the others can handle. Therefore, from the very beginning, in Garp's eyes, the behavior of the three of Layfon was a crazy temptation on the way to death. It's good now. It really succeeded in killing them. Mr. Layfon, you must not come here. Go to Vice Admiral Garp. Standing on the tortoise shell, Coby saw Layfon walking towards the center step by step, forcibly suppressed the panic in his heart, and gritted his teeth to dissuade him. It's over, Seeing that Layfon didn't listen to persuasion, Belumbo was even more ashamed, with a desperate expression on his face. Now it's really over. Beru Meber looks loveless. How crazy are you? He actually believed Layfon's nonsense. If there is regret medicine, Beru Meber would not want to do the crazy behavior just now. However, things have come to this point and cannot be changed. At the same time, Layfon's footsteps stopped. Now. He was already standing in the middle of the two beasts. It can be said that there are wolves in the front and back, and tigers in the back. Do not. This is a beast that is countless times more powerful than a wolf or a tiger. There is a giant long-toothed elephant in front, and a giant tortoise with a length of 7 meters in the back. This scene, it fell into the eyes of Coby and Beru Meber. It made their hearts even colder. Layfon took the initiative to break into the middle of the two, which is simply courting death. It's over, Vice Admiral Garp, hurry up. If you don't come, we're really going to end the game. Coby couldn't help but pray in his heart. At present, only the arrival of Garp can solve the current desperate situation. Otherwise, the three of them will be buried under the aftermath of the collision of these two beasts. Centrally located, Layfon took a deep look at the long-toothed elephant right in front of him. At a close distance, the mammoth's huge body, which is like a mountain, can be seen more clearly, with rough skin and thick flesh, and a huge body. Turn around. Visible. At the back was a giant 7-meter-long tortoise, with red pupils, staring straight at Layfon, who suddenly stepped into the center of the battlefield. Obviously, this moment, the two behemoths are aware of the little guy, Layfon, who was intervening in the battlefield. The reason why they didn't move out easily was not because they were afraid of Layfon, but because they were deeply afraid of each other, so they didn't dare to act rashly to break the deadlock. As for Layfon, in their eyes, this is just a small and fragile ant, nothing to be afraid of. The oppression of two giant beasts. It's really stressful. Advertisement. Layfon smiled rarely. This made Coby and Beru Meber's scalps even more numb. It's all like this, can you still laugh? What kind of psychological quality is this? This moment, the two of them changed their previous opinion of Layfon. Layfon, more than a genius. Moreover, he is a terrible lunatic. How foolish they were to follow a madman's crazy plan. This is the end. Moo. The mammoth roared. The sound is loud and spreads everywhere. It, after all, couldn't help but choose to make a move. Visible to the naked eye, the long-toothed elephant waved its huge trunk, and slammed down on the tortoise shells that Coby, Beru Meber, and the others were standing in front of them, extremely fierce. The target of the mammoth was not Coby and Beru Meber, but the tortoise below them. But they are the targets implicated in the attack. It's over. Coby and Belum Boss trembled. Can't escape. They could only watch helplessly as the huge elephant trunk fell on their bodies. The elephant's trunk waved down, as if covering the sky and the sun. Let them feel that the environment around them has become dark. Not good. Garp, who was hiding in the dark, took a deep breath, ready to rush forward. If he didn't make a move, he was worried that it would be too late. At this time, the center of the battlefield, Layfon watched silently as the mammoth attacked. Let me tell you, since I dare you to provoke this long-toothed elephant, I must have some confidence. You too, no matter how you say it, you should give me some confidence. Next second, before the trunk of the long-toothed giant elephant never fell, a faint breath began to be released crazily from the body of the 7-year-old Layfon. The breath is weak, like streams and rivers at first. Instantly, the breath changes rapidly. Boom. The aura emanating from Layfon's body turned into a billowing sea current in a blink of an eye, surging and spreading in all directions at a terrifying speed. The momentum is like a transparent circle, sweeping thousands of meters in an instant. Majestic. Surging. Like raging waves. This momentum seems to be Conqueror's Haki. Chapter 7 Shocking Conqueror's Shocking Quartet. Open black lens bracket. Ask for a ticket for flowers in the middle of the night. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Known as, out of a million people, only one person will have the potential for terrifying talent. Conqueror's Haki. The conquerors that came out of Layfon's body quickly spread to all directions at a terrifying speed, spreading to an area of several kilometers around. With Layfon's body as the center point, all living beings within a radius of several thousand meters were enveloped by this monstrous Conqueror's Haki. The release and spread of this momentum only happened in an instant. Let the atmosphere here change quickly. Like a calm sea, suddenly ushered in an overwhelming storm. The momentum is like the waves of the sea, and the waves are surging, sweeping every inch of the corner. The majestic airflow produced by conquerors presents a transparent circle, suppressed with unparalleled vigor, and spreads farther. In an instant, this astonishing conqueror's Haki was accurately controlled by Layfon, sweeping the two huge monsters at the front and rear, squeezing every cell of their bodies. The moment when conquerors affects the body. Boom. It was as if the extremely terrifying sea waves smashed against their bodies rapidly and violently, constantly eroding their bodies, and made them feel extremely deeply. That kind of fear and trembling that comes from the soul. It was as if they had encountered a terrifying creature that was far above them in terms of bloodline level, making their hearts completely dominated by fear. Beasts are also afraid. Woo. A scream full of fear came from their mouths. Although they may not possess spiritual intelligence, the fear derived from their blood can still make them unable to control their bodies and tremble. Yes, after this astonishing conqueror's Haki swept their bodies, they actually felt very terrified from the bottom of their hearts, which made their bodies tremble. The fear deep in the heart and soul dominates what is left of their thinking. Therefore, visible to the naked eye, the giant long-toothed elephant, dominated by fear and only left thinking, suddenly stopped stiffly in midair with its slammed trunk, and could no longer store it, let alone fall. This scene let the atmosphere here look even more weird. Silence. No sound. Garp was about to make a move, but he stopped abruptly and stood there in a daze. One look. His face was full of deep astonishment. At the same time, here, what's going on? Coby and Beru Meber were stunned. They looked desperate and dull, looking at the huge elephant trunk above their heads, which was frozen in midair but never fell. What's going on? Survival. Advertisement. I thought it was a doomsday situation. Never thought about it. Such a strange thing has ushered in a glimmer of life. Am I still alive? Belumbo opened his terrified eyes and stared at the top of his head in horror. Is still visible. The huge elephant trunk blocked the sunlight shining down from above their heads, making the area they were in extraordinarily dark. What happened? Belumbo's lips trembled, and he muttered in shock. Can't understand. Why did the long-toothed elephants attack end abruptly? Just now. What happened to prompt the mammoth to stop the attack? Coby, this. Beru Meber looked at Coby beside him. But also can only see. Coby was shocked and stunned, and stood there motionless in a daze. The fear and despair that remained on Coby's face still did not subside, and many emotional waves such as shock and horror were rekindled in his heart. Up close, it can be seen more clearly that the huge elephant trunk above their heads is only less than 1 meter away from their bodies. But just above the position of 1 meter, it suddenly stopped strangely. What? Affected mammoth. Grunt. Kirby rolled his throat and swallowed. He sensed it. The pair of huge pupils of the mammoth in front of him revealed humane emotions. That is, fear. Coby can be sure that he is absolutely right. The pupils of the mammoth really showed a look of fear. Longtooth. It is afraid. My god, what is it that makes it fear? Coby's head seemed to be hit hard by a heavy object, and it became a mess. Incredible. How could a beast of the level of the mammoth be afraid? How can that be? What is it afraid of? No, it's not just the long-toothed giant. Coby, look at our feet again. Advertisement. Belumbo's lips trembled. Then, Coby twisted his stiff neck and looked down at his feet. I see. For some unknown reason, the giant tortoise with a height of 7 meters under its feet caused the entire shell of the tortoise to tremble slightly. Could it be? Even it is afraid. 2 ferocious beasts of this size and tonnage encountered something extremely terrifying at the same time. As a result, they fell into a state of extreme fear at the same time. This. Kirby had never heard of such a thing before. What is it that makes them act so terrified? Woo. The 2 terrifying giant beasts let out horrified screams one after another. The sound spread in all directions. It was passed into the ears of Coby and Beru Meber, making it even more difficult for them to hide, and the deep shock in their hearts was ups and downs. All this happened as too shocking to the world. And this is not the most terrifying place. The scariest thing is that, until now, neither of them could understand it at all. Why are the 2 giant beasts so frightening? What is the source of their fear? Can't figure it out. Obviously no attack hit these 2 ferocious beasts, but they were still terrified strangely, making their bodies tremble uncontrollably. Boom. At this time, the long-toothed elephant stepped on the ground, with a body close to 20 tons, trembling and shaking as it trampled on the ground. Its body, which is rare as if it was drunk, began to wobble, and its pupils full of fear seemed to be a little lax, and it seemed that it might fall to the ground at any time. Same. The body of the tortoise under the feet of Coby and Beru Meber also began to shake slightly to varying degrees. Are they about to fall? Coby and Beru Meber were shocked and a little numb. Can someone explain to them? What happened in front of my eyes? What is the reason? Very good. Why are the 2 giant beasts about to fall? A lot of confusion and shock filled the minds of Coby and Beru Meber. Let the 2 of them stand blankly on the back of the tortoise, their bodies appearing dazed and stiff. The development of things subverted their cognition. Chapter 8 Shocking Garp. Innate talent. Open black lens bracket 4 more close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Woo. The long-toothed elephant kept screaming, the voice was weak and filled with deep waves of fear. The huge tortoise trembled, and Coby and Belumbo, who were carrying them on their backs, could feel that the whole world seemed to be shaking and trembling violently. Coby couldn't even dream of it. These 2 huge and terrifying beasts, at this moment, are rarely afraid. Why? Just now, what happened? Coby's face was pale, and his words were trembling. It's so weird. He couldn't figure it out at all. What caused the fear of these 2 ferocious behemoths? Obviously they didn't see any attack hit the 2 giant beasts, but they seemed to be corroded by invisible forces, dominating their bodies, making them tremble with fear. Boom. The 2 giant beasts stepped forward and trampled on the ground, making the ground tremble. Looking at them, it seems that they may fall down and faint at any time. Are you going to fall? Who can explain what happened to them? Coby's lips trembled, and he watched the strange things happening at the scene with horror on his face. At the same time, with Layfon as the center point, it has a radius of several thousand meters and is within a circular range. All creatures, countless birds and beasts, rabbits, wolves, tigers and other animals living in the forest, without exception, were shrouded in this terrifying aura. That moment, they are all without exception, the body made the same instinctive action. Thump. One after another, animals and beasts suddenly rolled their eyes white, foamed at the mouth and lost consciousness, and their bodies fell to the side. All, without any exceptions. All fell down. Hundreds of animals, paralyzed on the ground, fainted, motionless. The strange scene happened within a few thousand meters of the forest. Look around. It can be clearly seen that there are many animal bodies lying on the ground. They seem to have lost their lives, and many of them are still lying on the ground twitching, foaming frantically from their mouths. Advertisement. A radius of several kilometers. Not a single animal is alive and kicking. It made the atmosphere in the forest even more strange and eerie. The animals all fell down within a fraction of a second. Obviously, they lost consciousness at the same time and fell down. The other side. Garp originally wanted to rush forward to save people, but it stopped abruptly, and his body became a little stiff, and he froze in place, like a statue motionless. Stiff. The body is very stiff. The joints of the hands and feet seem to be stuck. Garp stared blankly at the battlefield ahead with a dazed look on his face. The moment before, in his eyes, the battlefield is full of crises. This moment, the situation seemed extremely peaceful. The long-toothed elephant's trunk was stiff and stagnant in midair, unable to fall again, as if it was bound by some terrible force, controlling its body so that it could not move. Visible to the naked eye, the mammoth and the giant tortoise were all trembling in fear, their huge pupils couldn't hide the strong color of fear. All of this is revealing a terrible fact. 1. The fact that Garp couldn't believe it. Don't feel wrong. Garp's throat was dry and he couldn't help opening his mouth. I turned my gaze. The eyes passed through these two frightening giant beasts, as well as the two guys with shocking faces, Coby and Meber. In the end, Garp's gaze was fixed on the center of the battlefield. He stared blankly at that immature figure standing in the center of the battlefield, sandwiched between two giant beasts. In such a strange environment, this immature and young figure is particularly prominent and eye-catching. Just now that was. Garp was stunned, and even his words were a little incoherent. He would rather believe it. Just now he had hallucinations himself. But the scenes that happened in front of him are being verified all the time. This is definitely not an illusion. Advertisement. It actually happened. Two ferocious behemoths were subdued in an instant. Same. Garp didn't see any of the attacks hit the two behemoths. But they seem to be corroded by invisible forces, causing the whole body to be fully dominated by fear, which is why they reveal the current humanized fear eyes. They are in fear. There is more. At that moment, all the animals fell down in a radius of several kilometers. All this shows that my guess is not wrong. The feeling I just felt is not an illusion. All the things happened for real. Garp's knowledgeable color allows him to have a very accurate insight. Just that moment, all the animals within a radius of several kilometers all fainted and fell down at the same time. Also, Garp experienced it firsthand, too. A second ago, the aura that affected his body. Familiar features contained in this momentum. Familiar fluctuations. This leaves Garp with no reason to think of the second possibility. The facts are already in front of us. Garp had to accept that what happened in front of his eyes was a terrible thing that could be said to shock the world. The momentum just now, no doubt, there is no second possibility. Conquerors. That's Conqueror's Haki. It is said that only one person in a million has the potential to be a king. Is it really an innate talent? Garp took a deep breath, forced to suppress the shock in his heart, fixed his eyes on the young figure in the center of the battlefield, and couldn't help but blurt out for a moment. Layfon, the brat, he, actually awakened Conqueror's Haki. This is really, completely unimaginable. Amazing. Chapter 9 completely controlled the Conqueror's monster at the age of 7. One more. Advertisement. Garp was stunned. He was in a daze, standing on the spot, the action he was about to make a move froze, and the scene he saw in front of him set off a huge wave, which was difficult to calm down. Conquerors. Only this explanation can explain all the weird things that happened just now. With a radius of several thousand meters, all the animals fainted and fell down at the same time. Garp was in a tizzy. He couldn't imagine it at all. Layfon is not only physically adaptable, he is as strong as a monster. Moreover, the technique of Conqueror's Haki has been awakened. It's amazing. Garp's mood was hard to calm down for a while. The essential. He's only 7 years old. Garp took a deep breath, but the shock in his heart still couldn't calm down. Awakened conquerors at the young age of 7. It's unbelievable. Boom, boom. The two giant beasts walked chaotically, and their bodies seemed to be on the verge of falling, as if they might fall to the side at any time. Their pupils were a little distracted, and their eyes also showed a humanized fear, and there were bursts of mourning, as if they were begging for mercy, begging for forgiveness. Standing on the back of the giant tortoise, Coby and Belumbo still looked dazed, their heads were in a mess, and their thinking ability was too stiff to think normally. Finally, the long-toothed elephant retracted its huge trunk, allowing Coby and the others to see the sun again and feel the warm sunlight falling from the edge of the sky again. We survived. Belumbo was stunned. It's so weird. Completely unexpected, this matter developed beyond expectations, subverting cognition and common sense. It seems to be like this. Coby nodded dumbly. Right under their gaze. I see. The long-toothed elephant staggered forward, almost flinching and trying to escape from this terrifying place, but it was unable to support its huge body with its pupils lax. Thereby, it fell down. Rumble. The gigantic body of the long-toothed elephant weighed more than 20 tons, and it slammed down hard on the ground next to it, causing the whole earth to vibrate and shake violently. A cloud of dust was thrown up from the ground. The ground was smashed into a large hollow by the body of the mammoth. Since then, the long-toothed elephant lost consciousness and passed out. Fall down. Coby rolled his throat and swallowed. A gigantic beast that endowed them with a sense of despair collapsed in a strange faint. The frightening thing is that they obviously didn't see that the long-toothed elephant was under any attack. Rumble. The giant tortoise under its feet can also clearly feel that it is unable to support its body, its limbs are paralyzed due to weakness, and its entire body and its shell hit the ground. Immediately, both Coby and Belumbo were shaken violently, and their bodies jumped up. It fell too. All this. Kirby's eyes widened in shock. Coby, my legs are weak. Advertisement. Belumbo's legs were weak, and his body was paralyzed above the turtle shell. The scene I saw today. Undoubtedly, all this subverted the cognition of the two of them. They can't even dream of it. In the end, they will be rescued in this weird way. They couldn't even find the reason why they were rescued. In the middle of the two giants. Looked up. Layfon glanced at the beasts that fell one after another, with a smile on his face. After all, I did not let myself down. Conquerors, sometimes quite effective. Although the level of the Conqueror's Haki I'm controlling is not high at the moment. But it still seems to be more than enough to deal with this little beast. Layfon initially has a clearer understanding of the Conquerors under his control. Immediately, suppressing all the thoughts in his mind, Layfon turned his head and looked at Coby and Belumbo who were standing on the turtle shell. You two, are you okay? Can be seen. The trembling bodies of Coby and Belumbo. It's okay. Coby laughed, his face pale and bloodless. At the same time, watching helplessly, the two giant beasts fainted and fell down. Garp's gaze focused on Layfon again without moving. And many more. I seem to have discovered a more terrifying and amazing thing. Garp opened his mouth, his face even more shocked. Well known. Conqueror's Haki awakened for the first time, will not be able to control the range of their Conqueror's Haki, as well as the target of the Conqueror's attack. This is an unconscious Conqueror's release. This happens only at critical moments. For the first time Conqueror's Awakeners, after releasing the first Conquerors, most of them will face the fate of fainting, just like the people shrouded by Conquerors. But, at this moment, what did Garp see? Layfon, the brat. He didn't fall down. Isn't this the first time he's released Conquerors? Garp's eyes widened, his heart shaking. Wrong. Still not in line with common sense. Wait a moment. Garp forced himself to calm down, and he couldn't help remembering. Just now Layfon was alone, and he directly broke into the behavior between the two giant beasts without hesitation. At that time, this move was considered by Garp to be a stupid act of death. However, looking back now, it gave Garp a very different perspective. Layfon, the brat, broke into the battlefield confidently at that time. He was alone in the middle of the two giant beasts, but he still didn't show any timidity or panic. So, at that time, he had very high self-confidence in himself. He thinks that he will be able to solve this dilemma. Then, at the critical moment when Coby and the others were about to die, Conqueror's Haki was released from Layfon's body in an instant. What does that mean? Advertisement. Even Garp was shocked by his current speculation. This means, the Conquerors just now was definitely not an unintentional move by Layfon, but it was well prepared. This illustrates a point. Layfon the brat, he actually, has already awakened the Conquerors. What's even scarier is that, he not only awakened the Conquerors, but also without anyone teaching him. He gradually began to realize the release and control of the Conquerors by himself. A terrible thing is coming. Obviously no one taught him how to use Conquerors. But he actually did it, completely controlling Conquerors, and can freely control and release it as he wants. How can that be? Garp's mood is like a surging ocean wave, rolling wave after wave. Awaken the Conquerors, and master the Conquerors. These are two completely different concepts. In the stage of awakening Conquerors, only when facing the moment of life and death, will subconsciously release Conquerors. But the latter, that is, free to release Conquerors at will. There is an essential difference between the two. And what did Garp see today? He saw it. Layfon, free to release Conquerors at will. Not awakening, but, take control. Take full control of the Conquerors. In the things Long told me before, he never mentioned Conquerors. Obviously, Long himself didn't know that his son had awakened Conquerors. So sure, the Conquerors of Layfon, never taught by anyone. That is to say, this kid's Conquerors is really self-taught, and he completely controls it with his own talent. Oh my god, Garp didn't dare to think. Conquerors, self-taught. What kind of terrifying talent is required to do this? In the end, in this matter, I have never overlooked a key point that is more shocking to the world. My grandson, Layfon, he is only 7 years old this year. Yes, he's only 7 years old. Even Garp's experience is deeply horrified by the occurrence of this kind of thing. Layfon is only 7 years old. Awakening the Conquerors at the age of 7 had horrified Garp. Not to mention, at the age of 7, have full control and freedom to unleash the Conquerors. Garp had never heard of such a terrible example of subverting cognition. Genius. Do not. This is no longer what a genius can describe. Perhaps, this kind of heterogeneity should be called monster. A terrifying monster who perfectly controls the Conqueror's Haki at the age of 7. This day, Garp, a well-informed marine hero who has seen countless big scenes, was completely refreshed by Layfon. Chapter 10 The person who casts Conquerors is Layfon. Open black lens bracket second watch for flowers close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Call. After exhaling heavily, Garp took a step forward, step by step towards the area where the two giant beasts fell, no longer choosing to continue hiding. There is no need to hide anymore. My grandson is a very remarkable genius. While Garp was shocked, he felt a strong sense of excitement. A 7-year-old monster who perfectly controls Conqueror's Haki. The other party is his grandson, with Garp taking the initiative to show up. Coby and Belumbo, who were originally in a state of confusion, came back to their senses one after another, but even so, there was still a strong color of shock in their eyes. All the things that happened just now subverted the cognition of the two of them. Vice Admiral Garp, why are you here? Coby blurted out. I've been watching your every move, but you didn't notice it. Garp opened his mouth casually, his eyes fixed on Layfon, and the color of admiration in his eyes became more and more intense. Okay, my grandson is a terrifying genius. Taken over Conqueror's existence at the young age of 7. Presumably, even if you look at the sea, it's hard to see the second one, right? Garp thinks. He suddenly has an extra copy that he can brag about to Sengoku for bragging rights. Just thinking about it made Garp want to laugh out loud. You've been there all this time. Belumbo was shocked, and immediately couldn't help complaining. Vice Admiral Garp, since you have always been there, you still watched us fall into desperation. To this, Garp's face was full of anger. I haven't said that you stupid idiots took the initiative to provoke the mammoth, and you accused me of not saving you. You really don't know how much you weigh, so you dare to do such a crazy behavior. The words fell. Belumbo quickly lowered his head with a look of apprehension, not daring to speak again. Vice Admiral Garp, we were wrong. Coby lowered his head and humbly admitted his mistake. Layfon, you brat, what a troublemaker. Garp turned to look at Layfon, and couldn't help but speak. Old man, haven't I saved the day? Layfon smiled, disapprovingly. Originally, his target was just a giant long-toothed elephant. Accidents can happen. At one time, two beasts appeared. But it's okay. Conqueror's Haki is quite useful at critical moments. Advertisement. Let Layfon deal with these two beasts in one go. Facing Layfon's words, Garp was speechless for a moment. Vice Admiral Garp, just now, what happened? Why did they all fall down strangely? What is the reason for this? Did you make a move? Coby couldn't help but hurriedly asked. This confusion has always been entangled in his mind, leaving him puzzled. I really can't figure it out. Yeah, Vice Admiral Garp, why did they lose consciousness in such a weird way? We obviously didn't see that they were under any attack. Including Belumbo, also showed a puzzled look. Ask him. Garp pointed angrily at Layfon. Seeing Layfon's expression, now Garp can be a little more certain. Layfon must know exactly what Conqueror's Haki is. It made Garp unrecognizable to complain. What a monster. At this age, he is so proficient at controlling conquerors. If you give the other party more time, how far will the other party have to grow? This, even Garp dare not imagine. Mr. Layfon, is this all about you? Coby and Belumbo looked shocked. Of course they couldn't think of it. The strange and terrifying phenomenon just now is closely related to the Layfon in front of me. How can that be? Layfon, the source of the unconsciousness of those two beasts. It's incredible. It's too unbelievable. This. Belumbo's throat was dry. Forget it. Although your current level is not very high, you should also get in touch with some common sense of this sea. I will briefly popularize it with you today. Garp said slowly, there are a lot of demon fruit power in the sea, you should know a lot about it, so I won't introduce devil fruit too much to you. In addition to devil fruit, our marine also has a very practical combat technique. It's called Marine 6 Styles. It's an actual combat method I created in the past. Only the elite of the elite in Marine can fully learn Marine 6 Styles. And this kind of Marine 6 Styles, which only the elite of the Marine elite can learn, can only be used as the basic threshold of another fighting method. Only after learning the Marine 6 Styles can you be considered initially qualified to contact and learn another higher level of fighting methods. This higher level combat method is called Haki. The words fell. Coby and Belumbo lost their eyes for a while. Haki. Completely unfamiliar words. It was the first time they heard of this method of fighting. But they can imagine it. They are undoubtedly very far away from this kind of fighting method. Advertisement. Now even Marine 6 Styles are not eligible to contact. Not to mention, you need to learn Marine 6 Styles as the basic threshold to be eligible to contact Haki, which is a higher level than Marine 6 Styles. Haki. There are 3 types. The first one is called Armament Haki. As you all know, Logia users are immune to all physical attacks. But when Armament Haki is cast, Logia users will no longer be immune to the attacks of Armament Haki. In addition, Armament Haki can be extended to the weapon in the hand, adding higher defense and attack power to the weapon, which is a very practical means of combat. The second type is called Observation Haki, which can predict the trajectory of the enemy's offensive means in advance, so as to dodge the enemy's attack before it arrives. These 2 kinds of Haki are very far away from you, so I won't introduce more to you. The point is, the third kind of Haki. It is also praised by the people in the sea. Only 1 person in a million people will have the potential of a king with this talent. It's called Conqueror's Haki. This is a fighting method that requires talent to master. If you don't have talent, you will never be able to master this method in this life. The difficulty factor of Conqueror's Haki cultivation is far more difficult than Armament Haki and Observation Haki. It may be more than 100 times more difficult. The amount of news caused Coby and Berumeber to feel dizzy. Armed and knowledgeable, they already feel out of reach. This moment, another Conqueror's Haki appeared, which is 100 times more difficult than the armed color and knowledge color. Conqueror's Haki. Its function is that after it is released, it will generate an extremely terrifying and powerful aura, covering the enemy's body invisible. This momentum can instantly crush the consciousness of weak conscious enemies, causing people to lose consciousness and faint. From the outside, you can't see any scars at all. This is a mental shock, not a physical attack. Having said that, Garp paused. As for Keka and Belumbo, their expressions were already dumbstruck. This description, how similar is it to the weird scene they encountered just now? The two ferocious beasts just now had no injuries on their bodies, but they lost consciousness one after another strangely, and lay unconscious on the ground. Difficult, could it be? Coby and Berumeber stared wide-eyed, looking at Layfon beside them in shock. No way. Incredible. Yes, you should have already guessed it. The reason why the two beasts fainted and lost consciousness just now is because they were shocked to the spirit by the Conqueror's Haki, and their consciousness was crushed instantly. As for the one who cast Conqueror's Haki, he is Layfon. Garp continued. In vain. The atmosphere became silent. No sound. This moment, the expressions of Coby and Belumbo became more and more dull. Chapter 11 Genius. No, it's a monster. Open black lens bracket third watch close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Conquerors. Among millions of people, only one person will have the potential to be a king. That is to say, the terrifying force that saved us in a critical moment. It is also the fundamental reason why the two giant beasts lost consciousness and fell down for no reason. Higher class than Marine 6 styles. Compared with knowledge color and armed color, the difficulty of cultivation is hundreds of times higher. It's this kind of terrifying means of ability that is actually controlled by Mr. Layfon. Coby and Berumeber looked at Layfon in bewilderment. It's amazing. They can't imagine. This terrible method, Layfon has mastered it. How old is Layfon? Only 7 years old, but at the age of 7, can he control such a terrifying ability? This is too shocking to the world. Through Garp's brief introduction, Coby and Berumeber can feel it very clearly. Conqueror's Haki, what an amazing means of combat. With the current state of both of them, it is too early to practice Marine 6 styles. Not to mention, exposure to Haki, a higher-end combat technique than Marine 6 styles. And in Haki, the rarest and hardest are Conquerors. Never imagined. It is such a difficult Conquerors, but it is controlled by a 7-year-old child. Is it possible? They couldn't believe it, but the truth is happening right before their eyes. Moreover, it was the horrifying incident they had personally experienced. Strange events witnessed. How can it be denied? Mr. Layfon, it seems a little too scary. Kirby's lips trembled. More tyrannical than he imagined. That is to say, Mr. Layfon, it is a rare case among a million people. A genius, a terrifying genius who stands out from a million people. Belumbo's thinking became a mess. Both of them stared at Layfon, who was only 7 years old, with shocking eyes. His thoughts were messed up, his head was blank, and his body was too stiff to move. So, it wasn't a Vice Admiral Garp rescue that kept them alive. It's Conquerors from Layfon. Only then did the two ferocious giant beasts experience a terrible shock and directly collapsed, and finally lost consciousness and fell unconscious on the ground. Don't look at me like that. Layfon felt goosebumps all over his body when the two looked at him, and couldn't help but say, let me declare, I'm just an ordinary 7-year-old kid. Ordinary. Advertisement. Mr. Layfon, are you afraid that you may have misunderstood the meaning of these 4 words, ordinary? Can a genius like you really be called ordinary? You are so humble. The hearts of Coby and Belumbo seemed to be pierced by a sharp blade. Of course they didn't. Yes, Layfon, just a 7-year-old child. It was such a 7-year-old child, but it gave Coby and the others an endless sense of oppression, and the self-confidence they had built up with great difficulty collapsed. From Layfon, both Coby and Belumbo saw it. The unstoppable talent blooms in every area of Layfon's body. By contrast, Kirby couldn't help feeling ashamed. At the age of 7, he has mastered a higher level of fighting methods above Marine 6 styles. That's all. It was enough to crush Coby's cognitive concepts. They never felt it. It turns out that their own talents are so unsightly. Actually, the most incredible thing is, it stands to reason. Only when the physical fitness has reached a benchmark, and you have been exposed to Marine 6 styles, and you have enough understanding of armament Haki and observation Haki, you can finally understand how to use Conqueror's Haki. But Layfon, the little devil, only crossed these thresholds, jumped directly to the final place, ignored the previous steps by magical means, and mastered the use of Conquerors. This is what I never expected. Garp looked at Layfon in amazement. Really, Conqueror's Haki's awakening can be at any time. But if you want to fully grasp and use Conquerors freely, what Garp said above is the only way to go. This is a way without shortcuts. It must be progressive. No one will be an exception. But in the end, Garp saw an exception. Now, this exception was right in front of his eyes. In Layfon, Garp saw a shortcut. A shortcut was opened up for Layfon abruptly. It is not necessary to have a strong physical quality, and ignore the threshold of the two-color Haki of the armed color and the knowledge color, and go directly to the last step to comprehend and be able to use Conqueror's Haki freely. Such an example, I have to say, Rao is Garp, this is the first time I heard of it in this life. So rare. Garp couldn't help thinking about it. How did the kid Layfon do such an incredible thing? After thinking about it, I really can't figure it out. Incomprehensible. Advertisement. At last. Bottom line. Garp had to take it all for granted. Perhaps, this is Layfon's terrifying talent. Conqueror's Haki. Kirby's eyes went blank. He still hasn't forgotten the shocking scene where the two giant beasts fell. He still can't forget the despair and depression brought to him by the mammoth at that time. But I can't even dream of it. It was these two such ferocious behemoths, but they were killed in an instant. What kind of terrible method is this? And the one who beat these two giant beasts in seconds was a child who was only 7 years old. Recalling all the incidents just now, all of them have impacted Keby's worldview. The confusion lingering in the minds of Keby and Belumbo was then completely revealed. But in the end, it still made them feel unparalleled shock. This is a genius. Kirby swallowed, looking at Layfon with shock and awe. He used to believe it. As long as he works hard, he can catch up with anyone and become the Admiral of Headquarters. But at this moment, this belief was abruptly shaken by Layfon. It also made Kirby finally see through. In this world, there really is such a terrifying genius. Today, he saw it with his own eyes. A terrifying genius beyond the concept of common sense. Genius. Do not. This is a monster. Turning his head, Garp looked at Layfon with a strange look in the eyes of a monster, and corrected Kirby's thoughts in time. This day, Keby and Beru have had their worldviews refreshed. Following Garp's words, a whole new world was successfully opened for the two of them. Same. Facing Layfon in front of them, the two of them had to admit a cruel fact. Some people, born to be different. Layfon, a terrifying alien who is only 7 years old, has already surpassed countless people in the sea. This is an out-and-out monster. Celebrate the 7-day chapter 12 seriously over the top. Strength goes beyond training. Open black lens bracket 4 more flowers close black lens bracket. Advertisement. It made Layfon feel uncomfortable to be watched by Garp 3 at the same time with monster eyes. He quickly changed the subject. So, should the training continue? Have to admit, Layfon learned a lot from this devil-style training arranged by Garp. Especially the experience of fighting beasts. Layfon is like a sponge, thrown into the sea, frantically absorbing combat experience, and improving his own strength level at a very obvious speed. And this is exactly what Garp sighed with emotion. There's a reason why Layfon is an out-and-out genius monster. Train. Garp froze for a moment. Immediately he couldn't help but think of it. Layfon has awakened conquerors, and can freely use and control conquerors' things. Think here. Garp let out a laugh, and asked back, boy, do you think this kind of training is still useful to you now? The role of devil-style training is to let you be between life and death, stimulate your human potential, and let you wander between life and death, so that you can become stronger. But now, with you awakening conquerors, and you can release conquerors freely. Naturally, you also lose the feeling of wandering between life and death. You who own conquerors, in this devil forest, it is no exaggeration to say that you can walk sideways at will without any danger. So, your ability has seriously exceeded the standard. Your strength is beyond the scope of my training. It's pointless to continue training. Indeed, Layfon's ability to cast conquerors is equivalent to having a whole card that can save his life, instead of constantly honing his will between life and death like Keby and the others. For Layfon at this moment, the effect of this devil-style training is no longer as obvious as it was at the beginning. Continuing to train is just a waste of time. This point was completely unpredictable to Garp before. He couldn't even dream of it. His devil-style training actually cost Layfon half an hour to be eliminated. This made Garp feel that his own face was a little bit embarrassing. But on second thought, advertisement. The kid Layfon is a monster and cannot be seen with the eyes of ordinary people. Garp calmed down a little. What are you doing so much with this monster? Take control of the conquerors at age 7. Looking at the sea, who can follow suit? No, there will not be a second example of such a shocking world. Compare it. Lousy himself looks like an idiot. This moment. Garp seemed to understand a little bit. The moods of Keby and Beru fluctuated. Mr. Layfon who owns Conqueror's Haki really can no longer feel any threat and pressure from life and death in the Devil's Forest. Taking a deep breath, Kirby agreed. Old man, it seems that your devil training is not very good. It took me half an hour to break through, it's really boring. Layfon looked at Garp who was in deep thought with a smile. Ignore Garp's annoyed expression. Layfon began to focus on his current physical attribute panel. System, bring up the properties panel. Open black lens bracket host. Layfon close black lens bracket. Strength, 7 plus 2. Open black lens bracket speed, 9 plus 3 close black lens bracket. Physical strength, 6 plus 2. Open black lens bracket skill. Conquerors have killed 1 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket skill point. 0 close black lens bracket. It seems that this training has improved my body a lot. Strength, speed, and physical strength have all been improved. This devil-style training is not useless. It's just that, with Conqueror's Haki, I can no longer feel any crisis and pressure from here. This kind of training will have little effect on me in the future. Layfon thought to himself. The strength has indeed been greatly improved after this training. Advertisement. But it's just that the effect in the early stage is better, and the same training will continue to be repeated later. In Layfon's opinion, it will not help him too much. I thought, devil-style training can at least dampen the spirit of this little brat. Unexpectedly, this kid's talent is beyond imagination. This devil-style training not only did not dampen his spirit. On the contrary, my old face slapped this brat hard, and now I feel a little hot. In half an hour, my devil training was declared invalid. This is really a monster. Garp's original plan was to let Layfon and Coby spend about half a month in this devil training. Only then did they change to a new project, and continue to train Layfon in a targeted manner. Man is not as good as God. Layfon's talent is too high. Garp couldn't even dream of it. In just half an hour, the devil-style training was completely broken and disintegrated. Think about it. Garp couldn't help complaining in his heart. Dragon, you guys definitely can't imagine it. What a terrifying monster is the son you brought back this time. Garp at this moment is completely predictable. If the dragon were to know Layfon's talent, the opponent will definitely drop his jaw. Sloppy. I shouldn't underestimate Layfon's talent. But who would have thought that his talent would be so powerful? Even back then, I was far less terrifying than him. Garp couldn't help picking up his past self and comparing it with the Layfon in front of him. Then, Garp found a very embarrassing thing. In his childhood, he might not even be able to compare with Layfon's one finger in front of him. This old man is a marine hero. What is he compared to a child? This simply lowers my status. The devastated Garp began to comfort himself. Chapter 13 Coby. Do I want to lose face? One more. Advertisement. Think before and after. Garp has a training program. Immediately, he thought for a moment, and said to Layfon again, first of all, you who have Conqueror's Haki are no longer suitable for training here in the Devil's Forest. In this case, I will set a second goal for you. The words fell. Layfon moved his gaze away from his own properties panel. Just like my guess. Properties panel, only you can see it. Garp, they naturally cannot see the virtual property panel of the system. Second target. Curiosity and anticipation appeared on Layfon's face. Conquerors is actually a prison for you now. Garp said slowly, owning Conquerors, you will subconsciously ignore many life and death crises. And these crises are the fundamentals that motivate you to stimulate your body's potential and become stronger. So, next, I want you to ignore the fact that I can use Conquerors. Under no circumstances can I use Conquerors. And your target is Coby. Heard the words. Coby beside him was stunned. Vice Admiral Garp, who is this? Don't interrupt. Garp waved his hand, did not answer Rigby's question, and continued to say to Layfon, don't think that Rigby is weak, but in fact, the age gap between the two of you lies here. You are 7 years old, and Coby is 16. In terms of strength, speed, physical strength, etc., you are far inferior to Coby himself. Therefore, without using Conqueror's Haki, it is basically impossible for you to be Coby's opponent. This cannot be denied. Immediately, Layfon understood. Is the goal I want to surpass next, is Coby. Turned. Layfon took a deep look at Coby, who seemed very reserved. Have to admit, Coby is weak, but his strength is quite good. In particular, after Garp's devil-like training for half a month, Coby's strength has infinitely approached the threshold of being able to learn Marine 6 styles. In terms of one-on-one, without using Conqueror's Haki, Layfon does not think that he can easily defeat Coby in front of him. But Layfon is not discouraged, nor is he disappointed in himself. After all, it took only 1 day to get the system by myself. Layfon is already very satisfied with the current strength. As the saying goes, the heart is not enough to swallow the elephant. Layfon's mentality has always been very stable. As a systematic person, I want to surpass Coby. Isn't this an easy thing? Old man, I'm afraid you may be mistaken again. Advertisement. Do you think that I really only have Conqueror's Haki? If you really think this way, then tomorrow, you will be surprised. Layfon is already looking forward to it. When tomorrow, I can check in for the second time. Garp's expression at that time will be so wonderful. Conquerors. Old man, do you think I know this trick? You underestimate me too. Anyway, I am also a systematic hacker. How can we look at it with the eyes of ordinary people? As I own the system, if I can't even deal with a weak chicken like Coby, I can just find a piece of tofu and kill me, so what's the point? Layfon thought to himself. After signing in for the second time and getting the second ability gift package from the system, my strength will definitely usher in another huge transformation. And then, wouldn't it be easier to defeat Coby by himself? But none of this is known to Garp. So, in Garp's view, it will take a while for Layfon to beat Coby without using Conquerors. But Garp never expected it. Layfon is open. How can the person who cheated on him use common sense to figure it out? For 1 day, Layfon took control of the Conquerors. So, it's not too much for me who owns the system to use 2 days to defeat Coby, right? Let me be Mr. Layfon's opponent and target. Coby was dumbfounded. Turn. Coby looked again, standing in front of Layfon, who was only 7 years old. If you ignore the horrors like Conqueror's Haki controlled by Layfon. It seems, it is not difficult to deal with Mr. Layfon if I am weak. Here lies the age gap. Furthermore, Coby has also gone through half a month of devil-style training, and he is countless times stronger than when he was ignorant. It can be said, Coby's strength has undergone transformations again and again during the past half month. By the way, I almost forgot to say. On this goal, add another limit. I only give you 10 days. Within 10 days, beat Coby. Garp looked at Layfon and said with a playful face. He feels that the current goal is undoubtedly very challenging and stressful for Layfon, who is only 7 years old. 10 days. Advertisement. Layfon smiled. It seems a little too much. 10 days. Unnecessary. 2 days is enough. It's just that Layfon didn't say these words publicly. Saying it like this seems to be a bit of a blow to Coby. It would be nice to give Coby a little more confidence. That way, things don't get boring. Unexpectedly. When I heard what Garp said, Coby also rolled his eyes, slandering in his heart. Vice Admiral Garp, do I want to lose face? Do you really think that I will definitely lose? 10 days. Have to say, Mr. Layfon's talents are terrifying, and he has also mastered such terrible methods as Conqueror's Haki. But I really don't underestimate Mr. Layfon. If you don't use the method of Conqueror's Haki and fight alone, relying on your half-month training, it will not be too easy to deal with Mr. Layfon. Let alone 10 days. Even if you give Mr. Layfon a month, he may not be able to surpass me. For this point, Coby has a lot of self-confidence at the moment. Although Coby admits that his talent cannot be compared with Layfon. But he has an advantage in age, let alone 10 days, even a month, it is impossible to be surpassed by Layfon so casually. There is no doubt about this, Coby is very sure. What's more, even if the devil-style training is over here, you all prepare yourself. Next, we are about to leave Windmill Village. Garp continued. Leave. Vice Admiral Garp, where are we going? Coby and Belumbo were a little stunned. They didn't expect it. Only Layfon, with a slight guess in his mind, knew it. Windmill Village, after all, is just a temporary place for Garp to stay. From the looks of it, is he about to leave for that place soon? Think here. Layfon's eyes twinkled, looking out into the blue sky. Compared with Windmill Village, that place is obviously much more interesting. Where? Back to Naval Headquarters Marineford, of course. After leaving Marineford for such a long time, I'm afraid the old Sengoku will start nagging again. That's all Garp said at the end. Chapter 14 My grandson, Layfon, has the capital of Admiral. Second watch for flowers tickets. Advertisement. Naval Headquarters Marineford. Coby and Belumbo lost their eyesight. Finally, heading to Marineford. Although they have become qualified Marines, they have never been to such a solemn place as Naval Headquarters. After all, they have followed Garp for only half a month, and it is reasonable to have never been to Naval Headquarters Marineford. However, they have always had a yearning for Marineford. There is Marine's headquarters, where the Admiral of Headquarters sits. Watching Garp drift away, Coby and the two were still in a daze, frozen in place and motionless. Marineford. It's really exciting. Even Layfon showed a strong look of anticipation. That place must be much more interesting than Windmill Village. I really should go to see the world. At this time, Coby came back to his senses, and looked at Layfon solemnly. Mr. Layfon, I said in advance that I will never give up on the confrontation with you. Water. Layfon looked at Coby with a strange expression on his face. In other words, where did you get the courage to say the word release water? Young people, self-confidence is a good thing. But blind self-confidence, this is a great shortcoming. Up to you. Layfon waved his hand, not paying attention to Coby's words. Next, Layfon can see that Coby is working harder and harder than before in training. Seeing this, Layfon couldn't help but sigh with emotion. How young. Effort. If hard work is useful, what do you need genius for? Not to mention, I am still a genius who controls the system. Young man, who do you think you are comparing yourself with? You're comparing yourself to someone who's cheating. Layfon watched with a playful expression, and Coby, who was devoting himself to training at the moment, couldn't help but think in his heart. Compare your own efforts with cheating. What will happen? It goes without saying. One thought here. Advertisement. Layfon couldn't help but look forward to it. When Coby knows that his efforts are meaningless in front of him, will the opponent's mentality usher in a complete collapse? That's really a sin. ... Boo boo boo. The voice of the phone bug lingered in Garp's ear. I see. He was holding a phone bug, dialing a communication, and waiting quietly. Finally, the phone bug dialed. On the other end, a dignified and steady voice came out. I am Sengoku. Sengoku, it's me. Garp had a smile on his face. Garp. The phone bug's voice became high-pitched, full of anger and exasperation. Where did you go? You be asterisk. D. It's been a whole month since you left Naval Headquarters. Hurry up. Immediately, return to Naval Headquarters. When I thought about it, I was in the Marshal's office and had to deal with so many tedious affairs every day. But Garp, the old guy, was fine, and ran out straight away to be cool. The mentality is suddenly out of balance. Sengoku became angry. I am so busy, but Garp is still so free and unrestrained. Don't worry, I'm not planning to return to Marineford, so I'm just contacting you to let you know. Garp scratched his ear and smiled nonchalantly. Okay, if you're looking for me just for this matter, then don't waste my time. Sengoku's tone was filled with impatience. I have something more important to tell you. Garp's eyes flickered, and his tone was full of admiration. You must never have imagined what incredible and shocking things I encountered when I returned to Windmill Village this time. Then, Garp successfully aroused Sengoku's curiosity. What is it? I won't tell you the details, I'm afraid I'll frighten you. When I return to Marineford, you'll know. But I can give you a little information in advance. That is, my grandson, he is a monster with terrifying talent. You can't imagine that in this sea, there is such a freak with such terrible talent. I can be sure that my grandson Layfon will subvert your cognition and refresh your worldview. Garp's tone was full of showing off. He can be sure. Layfon's talent will definitely subvert Sengoku's worldview. After all, even he himself was seriously intimidated by Layfon's talent. To date, there was still a lot of shock in Garp's mood. Advertisement. Layfon, your grandson. When did you have another grandson? Sengoku's voice rose a lot, full of surprise. This news is so sudden. He was totally unprepared. You are focusing on the wrong place. You should ask how strong my grandson's talent should be. Specifically, I will tell you in detail when I return to Marineford. Garp was all smiles, his face flushed. I'm not curious about this question at all. After all, those guys you taught have all gone to the wrong side. Are there few examples like this? Have you forgotten who your son is? And your two grandsons, both of whom have become pirates. One is Whitebeard's son, and the other has made his debut in this sea. I seriously doubt your educational ability now. Sengoku's tone was full of contempt. Cough cough. Garp blushed and calmed down quickly. His eyes twinkled, and his tone was full of confidence, with unprecedented seriousness and solemnity. This time, this will never happen again. No matter who, I will never let people lead my grandson astray again. My grandson, Layfon, has the capital of Admiral. If you have to use the simplest words to summarize Layfon's talent, I can only say, based on my teaching, coupled with Layfon's horrible monster-like talent, I can guarantee 100%. In the next 10 years, an admiral-level existence will be born in Marine. Layfon is only 7 years old this year. In other words, before he turns 17, he must have the strength and qualifications to become an admiral. Garp is serious and no jokes are meant. It can also be heard from this speech. Garp has high hopes for Layfon. Perhaps, it is precisely because his son and grandson did not live up to expectations that Garp was disappointed one after another. Dragon, Ace, Luffy. None of them followed Garp's teachings to become Marines, but they all went astray. Although Garp didn't care about all this on the surface, he was still very disappointed in his heart. Once upon a time, Garp even doubted, could it be that there is really a problem with his education? Now, when he saw Layfon, Garp's inner hope was rekindled again. This time, no matter what it takes, he must not let Layfon lead people astray again. Even Whitebeard, redheads, don't even think about leading his grandson. His grandson, Layfon, is destined to become an excellent Admiral of Headquarters in the future. Chapter 15 Admiral will be successful in 10 years. Sengoku shock. Open black lens bracket looking for flowers in the middle of the night close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Long, inexplicably embarked on the road of opposing the world government. Ace, went to sea and became Whitebeard's son. Luffy was even more bewitched by the red-haired guy, and finally embarked on the road of becoming a pirate. Finally, when Garp did not report any hope, Layfon appeared. Whether it is talent or temperament, Layfon perfectly meets Garp's expectations for an heir, even more than that. So, Garp has full confidence in his heart. Layfon will become admiral within 10 years. Garp, let me calm down first. I just heard right. Your grandson, Layfon, is only 7 years old. Sengoku was stunned. What the hell, he couldn't even dream of it. The grandson that Garp keeps pinning high hopes on is only 7 years old. Even so, Garp still dares to speak in dialect. Will he become admiral in 10 years? What does that mean? That means, a 17-year-old admiral of headquarters. What a joke. How can that be? Sengoku immediately denied it. Deny Garp's judgment. Otherwise, this thing would be too scary. There's never been an example of that in Marine. There's never been a 17-year-old admiral. Even admirals under the age of 25 are very rare. Admiral of Headquarters under the age of 20. Impossible. Sengoku, that's why I said it. You never really know my grandson without actually seeing it. There really is such a terrifying genius beyond imagination and common sense in this world. Do not. It's more like a monster through and through. Garp's tone was full of surprise. If he hadn't witnessed it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have dared to imagine it. Someone's talent can be so powerful. Garp, are you serious? Sengoku took a deep breath. He still couldn't accept it. Even though the person who said these words is his old friend and the mainstay in Marine, a prestigious Marine hero Garp. But all of this is still too subversive, and it is normal for Sengoku to find it hard to accept. You are only 7 years old, you will be admiral in 10 years. That's what you mean by that. Marine will give birth to an unprecedented young admiral. An admiral who is only 17 years old. Are you kidding me? Sengoku couldn't help asking questions. 17-year-old admiral. It's incredible. No, Sengoku, you misunderstood me. Advertisement. Garp continued. It's a good thing you're sensible. Sengoku thought Garp was about to change his tune, so he was slightly relieved. I mean, it must be done in 10 years, not in 10 years. So in other words, my grandson must become Marine Admiral before the age of 17, not Admiral at the age of 17. In short, he may have reached the level of becoming an Admiral of Headquarters when he was 16, or even 15 or 14. Garp's words, no doubt, once again overturned Sengoku's mood swings. Sengoku was stunned on the spot. What's going on? 16-year-old Admiral, even, the Admiral of Headquarters at the age of 15 or 14. Are you hallucinating yourself? Or, is Garp really delusional? Garp, are you okay? Sengoku pondered for a long time, and finally couldn't help asking. He seriously suspected that something happened that caused a huge and painful blow to Garp, making Garp's thinking ability stiff. Otherwise, how could the other party say such unimaginable remarks? I'm calmer than ever. I'm not saying any jokes in all this. This time, I can't see people wrong. My grandson Layfon, he has all the capital to be promoted to Marine Admiral within 10 years. Sengoku, you may not understand. But you should know when I bring him back to Marineford. Turn out to be, in this world, there really are such genius monsters beyond our imagination. On Garp's face, there was a serious emotion that had never been seen before. Obviously, his confidence in Layfon is very strong. Similarly, his expectations for Layfon are also very high. Perhaps, it is precisely because the son is not up to date, and the two grandsons are also not up to the mark. Until, Garp sees Layfon, as if, seeing the greatest expectation in life is the same. In addition, Layfon's own unparalleled talent made Garp believe even more in his heart. Before the age of 17, Layfon must become a Marine Admiral. If it were someone else, Garp couldn't guarantee it. Only Layfon gives Garp this unmatched confidence. Others want to do this, the degree of difficulty is very high. But if it's Layfon, he can definitely do it. Although the contact time is not much, such a strong trust emerges in Garp's heart inexplicably. Then I'm looking forward to the moment you bring him back to Marineford. Advertisement. Finally, all the emotions in Sengoku's heart turned into this sentence. Sengoku, when you see him, you'll understand that what I'm saying now is absolutely not exaggerated. On the contrary, I may have said it a little too conservatively. Garp's eyes flickered, his tone inexplicable. The phone bug just hung up. The other side. Hang up the phone bug and put the phone bug in his hand on the desk. Sengoku leaned back on the seat, with a strange look in his eyes, looking at the fenced sky outside the window. Many thoughts were floating in his mind. As Garp's old friend and comrade in arms for many years. Sengoku is the first time I heard it. Garp used such a solemn and serious tone to affirm one thing. Although what Garp said was a bit too unbelievable. But with Sengoku's years of knowledge about Garp, the other party is definitely not someone who likes to deliberately exaggerate. Since Garp has already affirmed this matter so much, there must be some reason. So, what is the reason? Garp, you have so much confidence in a person. Is your 7-year-old grandson Layfon? Although I don't know when you had an extra grandson. But from your tone, your grandson Layfon seems to really have a terrifying talent. Otherwise, you wouldn't be so gaff. Sengoku looked expectant. Layfon, really looking forward to seeing you. I want to see it too. To make Garp, a discerning old guy, value him so much, he was even considered to be the successor of Admiral within 10 years, how good will the other party be? Only 7 years old, will be Admiral in 10 years. That means, an Admiral of Headquarters under the age of 17. Is this really possible? At least, in Sengoku today, it is always difficult to imagine such a terrible thing. All of this simply subverts cognition. Let's wait and see. P.S. Just to clarify, the author of this book will diligently guarantee that it will be updated at least 4 times in 8,000 words every day. But helpless. The data in this book is very bleak, XOX. There are very few big readers who vote for flowers. Readers here, please vote for flowers, evaluation votes, and monthly tickets to support. They are all free gifts, just move your fingers. Even a flower, an evaluation ticket, and a monthly ticket are the motivation of the author. I am grateful. So far, this book has not received a monthly ticket, which really makes the author a little tired. Here I can only ask for a wave of flowers, evaluation tickets, and monthly tickets with the cheek. Here, the author thanks. Closing parenthesis. Chapter 16 Luffy, Ace. There is no comparison at all. Open black lens bracket for more close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Before leaving, Garp took Layfon for a walk around Windmill Village, greeted the simple villagers in Windmill Village, and let these simple villagers understand Layfon's identity. For Garp's sudden addition of a grandson, many villagers expressed surprise, but soon accepted it. Walked around. Layfon is also familiar with the faces of many villagers. Such as, the village head of Windmill Village, Slap. The proprietress of the banquet tavern, Makino, is a very gentle and beautiful woman. In Layfon's impression, Makino and red hair, the relationship between the two is not simple. Although it is impossible to judge whether they are husband and wife, Makino and the red hair are definitely not just ordinary friends. In addition to the above two, Layfon also briefly greeted many simple villagers one after another. It was preliminary, and left a deep impression on these villagers in Fengche Village. At last, Garp took Layfon all the way to a small hill behind the Windmill Village. On the hillside, there stands a house with musical notation. There are many clothes hanging in front of the door. With the breeze, the clothes flutter and dance in the air. Boom boom boom. Garp came to the door, raised his hand heavily and knocked on the door. The loud and pleasant voice spread in all directions. The whole door seemed to be fenced by Garp, a lot of sawdust fell, and the door became a little loose. Boom. The door was suddenly pulled open. An obese middle-aged woman stood up, with a cigarette in her mouth. Her face was ferocious, and she yelled angrily as soon as she walked out of the room. Who? It's so early in the morning, it's so noisy. Until she saw Garp standing in front of the door. Immediately, At a speed visible to the naked eye, the anger on her face fluctuated, as if being directly poured out by a basin of cold water. It quickly cooled and disappeared on her face. Garp. Her eyes widened, and the cigarette she was biting fell off. Dan, how are you doing these days? Garp spoke slowly with a smile. You be asterisk 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 D, you ran back to Windmill Village again. You don't have anything to show courteousness to, either R asterisk 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 or steel. I always feel that you must be planning something that is not good for me. Dayton looked at Garp strangely. Immediately. Then she saw Layfon's immature and young thin figure standing beside Garp. That moment, Dayton seemed to have sensed it, and there was a strong vigilance on his face. I said, Garp, why don't you bring another child back this time and let me take care of it for you? Let me tell you, it is absolutely impossible for me to agree to help you looked after. I'm not a babysitter, you should find someone else, I will definitely not agree anyway. Take this brat and get out of here as soon as possible. She did not forget how much she suffered while helping Garp take care of Ace and Luffy. Those two brats are simply troublemakers. Would you like me to come in and sit down? Garp was not surprised by Dayton's reaction. Tell me in advance that even if you say potion, I won't agree to help you take care of this brat. Advertisement. Dayton's tone was full of firmness. But she moved out of the way, allowing Garp and Layfon to enter the house without incident. As soon as he stepped into the house, Layfon could feel the eyes from all directions, all focused on himself and Garp beside him. There are quite a lot of people in the house, about 20 people. All showed strong shock and fear for Garp's arrival. Card, Vice Admiral Garp. Everyone panicked. Don't make noise. Dayton drank loudly. Everyone booed immediately, not daring to speak. Garp, where did you pick this kid up again? Dayton asked curiously. Layfon, son of the dragon, my grandson. Garp laughed and patted Layfon on the head. What? Dayton's eyes widened, and he couldn't help blurting out, you be asterisk 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 D, when did you have another grandson? I haven't received any news at all. Around. Many bandits were also stunned. Subsequently. Dayton's expression became more and more vigilant. Don't think about it, I will definitely not help you take care of your grandson. No matter who this brat is or what status he has, I will never agree to help you take care of the child. As can be seen, she has already had a psychological shadow on the matter of raising children. Ace and Luffy gave her enough headaches back then. She doesn't want to repeat the same mistakes. I'm not asking you to help take care of my grandson this time. I just came to see you, and you think too much. Furthermore, Layfon, he is nothing like the child you imagined. Your ability is not enough to take care of him. I'll take him to Naval Headquarters Marineford. Garp laughed. Hand it over to Dayton. Of course not. I have to admit that Garp did have a similar idea at first. But Garp changed his mind when he saw Layfon's terrifying talent. Now, with Dayton's ability, he can't take care of Layfon at all. Layfon, after all, is not an ordinary child, but the most special one. A 7-year-old scary genius monster. Garp is really worried about handing Layfon to Dayton's care. I can't take care of it. Dayton looked dissatisfied. Did you forget, Ace and Luffy, who took care of them? What's the difference, little brat? Ace and Luffy, two naughty troublemakers, she was able to take care of them with ease back then. How could this brat be an exception? Of course it's different. Advertisement. Whether it's talent, strength, ability, etc. Garp continued. You mean, this brat is more talented than Ace and Luffy? Dayton was a little surprised. Of course she knows how talented Ace and Luffy are. And now, the kid named Layfon brought by Garp can actually surpass Ace and Luffy. To her, this was still a very surprising thing. It's not just higher. Luffy, Ace, they are nothing compared to Layfon. In short, the two sides are not on the same level at all. Do you understand what I mean? Garp took a deep look at Dayton. Comparing Ace to Luffy to Layfon. Garp couldn't help laughing. There is no comparison. Layfon's talent, strong subversive cognition. These, neither Ace nor Luffy have. If you compare the 7-year-old Ace and Luffy with the current 7-year-old Layfon. It is no exaggeration to say that 100 Aces and Luffys are not as good as one Layfon. It can be seen from this. Garp's attention and expectations for Layfon have reached to what extent. This brat seems to be really unusual. Dayton really looked at Layfon next to Garp. Only at first glance, she felt it. Layfon gave her the feeling that she was not facing a 7-year-old child, but more like an adult with a calm mind. Layfon, he's a monster. Garp laughed. For these words, Dayton slightly agrees in his heart. Some people, just the first glance, can give people a difference. And Layfon, it brought this strange feeling to Dayton. Perhaps, as Garp said, this kid is really special. The two boys Ace and Luffy back then were already freaks in Dayton's eyes. But today, when you see Layfon, Dayton thought suddenly. Compared to Ace and Luffy, the Layfon in front of me looks more like a monster. Chapter 17 Set sail. Target Naval Headquarters. One more request for flowers tickets. Advertisement. Afternoon. A round of scorching sun in the sky gradually moved to the west. As the sun sets and the sun sets, the afterglow of the golden halo falls from the sky, imprinting on the houses and the backs of the villagers in Fengche village, which are gradually elongated and tilted. A huge warship is docked at the coastal port at the entrance of Windmill Village. The warship is huge in size, but its appearance and structure are very strange. The front part is a bow structure similar to a pug biting a bone, which looks very funny. Around the hull, there are blue and black lines winding around the entire hull, making the appearance of the entire warship very unique. Vice Admiral Garp, you are here. Standing at the port, a middle-aged man in a marine uniform, with a respectful expression and a straight back, saluted Garp, who was walking gradually. His name is Pakuto, Colonel of Naval Headquarters, under Garp's command, a field officer under Garp's command. Apart from Garp, his rank is the highest. It can be said that he is Garp's confidant and confidant. As Garp's confidant and confidant, as well as a Naval Headquarters colonel and colonel, Pokato's strength is naturally quite impressive. Order to go down and prepare to sail back to Marineford. Garp waved his hand and gave the order. Yes, Vice Admiral Garp. Pokato immediately turned and left, giving orders to the rest of the marine soldiers on the warship. His name is Pakuto, my confidant, a marine colonel. Garp pointed to Pakuto's back and introduced Layfon beside him. I see. Layfon nodded. Not far. Coby and Beru Meber also walked quickly in front of Garp. Their foreheads were stained with sweat, their expressions were full of awe, and their gestures were respectful. Vice Admiral Garp. Ready to board. Yes, Vice Admiral Garp. Many villagers from Fengche village came to see them off one after another. This made Layfon feel the homely atmosphere as if returning to his hometown. Let's go. Garp stepped forward and stepped onto the warship ahead. Immediately, Layfon did not lag behind, and stepped onto the huge warship step by step. The hull structure of the warship is very unique. After the transformation of Marine's latest technology, the whole warship not only has a novel structure, but also has a sailing speed that can be among the best among many sailing ships in the sea. Mr. Layfon, hello. Pokato looked at Layfon with a kind smile on his face. As Garp's confidant, he naturally knew that Layfon was Garp's grandson. Advertisement. Colonel Pokato. Layfon greeted him with a polite smile. Paused. Layfon asked. I heard that Colonel Pokato's swordsmanship is very good. If you have the opportunity, you must ask him for advice. Coincidentally, I am also very interested in swordsmanship. Hearing this, Pokato smiled even more. My swordsmanship is just getting started, but if Mr. Layfon wants to ask for advice, I am of course very happy. That's it. Layfon's eyes twinkled. Previously, he has already thought about the main direction of his cultivation. Devil fruit. He just ignored it. There is a system. Why do you need devil fruit? Isn't this purely cumbersome? Aside from devil fruit, there are only a few cultivation directions that can make you stronger. Swordsmanship is the best kind. After chatting for a while, Pakuto left quickly and returned to his busy work, ordering the helmsman, navigator and other personnel to do their own duties. Not long. The flag of a seagull is depicted and raised high. This is Marine's exclusive flag. The scale of the seagull image symbolizes absolute fairness and justice. The warship begins to set sail. Ready to go to sea soon. Sail. Adjust the direction. Navigator. Observe the sky. There are many Marines on the entire warship, each busy. Probably less than 5 minutes passed. The warship finally left the port coast of Windmill Village gradually. The speed of sailing was relatively slow at the beginning, but as time passed, the speed of the ship increased significantly in less than a few seconds. Under the eyes of many villagers, the warship sailed towards the endless sea, and gradually disappeared at the end of the sea. Seeing, Windmill Village got farther and farther away, and finally became a tiny black spot until it disappeared completely. Layfon stood on the fence of the warship splint, slowly looking away. Advertisement. Turn. He looked in the direction of the warship's course, looking at the boundless Wang Sea area. The destination of this trip. Naval Headquarters, Marineford. Thinking of this, Layfon felt a little expectant. Coby and Beru Meber finished their work and walked to Layfon's side. Their breathing rhythm was a little messy. Mr. Layfon, you have to work harder. 10 days is not too long, and it will pass in the blink of an eye. If you don't work hard, it will be difficult to complete the requirements of Vice Admiral Garp. Kirby smiled confidently. Obviously, he never forgot what Garp said. Being surpassed by a 7-year-old child in 10 days. When Coby imagined it, he felt that he still needed some face. Seeing Keby's confident expression, Layfon felt that he should not dampen the young man's self-confidence, and it would be good for him to work hard with this confidence. We're finally going to Marineford. Belumbo's eyes were full of hope. Marineford. Kirby also showed the same expression. Naval Headquarters Marineford, in their eyes, is equivalent to the Holy Land of Marine. Be careful, don't be surpassed by me tomorrow. Layfon patted Kirby on the shoulder and returned to the room alone. Watching Layfon's back, Coby couldn't help laughing, and didn't take Layfon's words to heart. Tomorrow. What a joke. If I am really surpassed tomorrow, I'm going to swallow everything I've dragged this week. Coby thought swearingly in his heart. Chapter 18. Sign in again to get swordsmanship LV5. Second watch for flowers tickets. Advertisement. Sailing at sea is more boring. Looking around, you can only see the endless sea, not even an island, let alone any accurate reference. One can only rely on the excellent experience of the navigator to judge which area of the sea the warship is currently in based on the speed, direction, angle, etc. of the voyage. The sun was setting. Warship deck. Both Coby and Beru Meber are training hard. The other side. Layfon sat above the railing of the deck, crossed his legs, quietly watched the hardworking Coby and the two, and couldn't help but feel emotional. So young. Can you prevent yourself from being surpassed by working hard? If it's really that easy, what else is there to do? Little devil, if you don't surpass Coby within 10 days, you will feel better. Garp suddenly appeared next to Layfon, looking maliciously at him. Don't worry, old man. In your eyes, things that are stress-free are still so important to you. Layfon waved his hand with a nonchalant expression on his face. This made Garp's teeth itch, wishing he could give Layfon a fist of love right now. But Garp still held back abruptly, snorted and left a sentence. Then I look forward to what kind of way you will surprise me in 10 days' time. Watching Garp leave, Layfon turned his eyes to Wang Yanghai in the distance. Beyond Coby, this was never my goal. If one's goal is only to surpass Coby, then it is really too embarrassing. Anyway, with the system in his body, as a person who has opened the plugin, how can it be compared with a weak chicken like Coby? Isn't this devaluing yourself? Looked up, covering the dazzling halo with his hands a little, Layfon looked at the sunset in the sky and couldn't help but look forward to it. It's almost time to sign in for the second time. I really look forward to it. What kind of abilities can be unlocked in the ability gift pack rewarded by the sign-in system this time? First Conqueror's out. What about the second time? To this, Layfon couldn't figure it out, but he still couldn't restrain the restlessness. The dull and tedious voyage will soon be night. As the sun sets, the golden light fades away. In the dead of night, a curved crescent moon emerged from the dark sky at the edge of the horizon, hanging firmly, emitting a hazy white halo and flickering. The calm sea surface reflected the clean and beautiful figure of the bright moon. Advertisement. The sea breeze blows gently. Ripples rippled, and Haoyu's perfect figure was distorted. Under the dark sea, huge black phantoms passed through the bottom of the sea one by one, and occasionally a lot of bubbles could be seen emerging from the bottom of the sea, and the bubbles burst when they touched the air. The sea is in danger. Apart from shipwrecks, the most dangerous thing is the sea kings under the sea. Nothing to say all night. The next day, sunny. The sky is clear. The white clouds are like cotton candy, floating above the sky, moving with the wind. A huge marine warship flying the seagull flag sailed from a distant sea. The structure of the front section of the warship is a funny appearance of a pug biting a bone, which makes the hull structure of the entire warship particularly unique and conspicuous. Room. The first ray of sunlight from the edge of the day fell in front of the window. Layfon opened his eyes. The first thing after waking up is check out the system. System, how long is it until the check-in time? Layfon asked directly. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket. The cumulative time of the detection system has reached 24 hours. Sign in is available. Please host to confirm again. Do you want to sign in? Close black lens bracket. Instantly, the sound of the system came to Layfon's mind. Has it been 24 hours? The second time you sign in, what kind of ability can you get? Next, just wait and see. Layfon's eyes twinkled, his mood full of anticipation and excitement. I will soon be able to get the second ability. How can this keep Layfon from getting excited? The first check-in reward is Conquerors. The second time you sign in, no matter how bad it is, it can't be too bad, right? With many emotions, Layfon thought. Confirm the sign. Open black lens bracket sign in successfully. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Congratulations to host, you got the ability gift package for sign in rewards. Close black lens bracket. Do you want to open the ability gift package? Close black lens bracket. Steps as always. For Layfon, who has already signed in once, these steps are familiar to him. Advertisement. Well versed. Finally arrived at the last crucial step. Layfon's mood began to become a little nervous. Heaven and hell are just one step away. Success or failure depends on what abilities can be opened in the gift bag. It's like a gamble. Win or lose, just think about it. And Layfon's state of mind at the moment is like a desperate gambler, putting down all the bets, and the mood of tension and anticipation is full of heart. Coming. Layfon calmed down a little, and read silently with anticipation. System, open the ability gift package. Next second. The response of the system is very fast. The pleasant voice lingered in Layfon's mind. Ability gift pack is opening. Open black lens bracket enabled. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Congratulations to host, you got swordsmanship LV 5 feet from the ability gift pack. Close black lens bracket. With the sound of the system just fell. Layfon's eyes went blank for a moment, and he froze for a moment. The meaning of ecstasy surged into my heart. Swordsmanship. I really wanted to doze off, so I sent you a pillow. I was thinking about whether I should learn swordsmanship from Colonel Pokato. Now it's good, and the swordsmanship is directly opened from the ability gift pack. Now, there is no need to learn swordsmanship from Colonel Pokato. Because the system has directly given me enough swordsmanship. Just ignore all the cumbersome steps of learning swordsmanship at the beginning, and thus step into the threshold of swordsmanship. In short, my swordsmanship can be said to be instant entry. Layfon's mood was overwhelmed. Chapter 19. Just like a father hanging and beating his son. Open black lens bracket. Third watch. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Yes. For Layfon, who has never been exposed to swordsmanship, and has never practiced swordsmanship, his swordsmanship at this moment can be called an instant introduction. Swordsmanship LV 5 feet was issued from the ability gift pack. It symbolizes Layfon is about to master the level of swordsmanship. And this is given by the system instantly. No need to practice. No need for time to settle. Just let Layfon quietly accept this power. At the same time, a warm current began to rush to Layfon's body, washing the meridians and blood of his limbs. A large amount of knowledge, like a tide, all began to flow into Layfon's mind, making a large amount of basic knowledge about swordsmanship appear in his head out of thin air. Also, what's more important is that the mastery of swordsmanship seems to be innate, which makes Layfon feel very proficient. Swordsmanship is no longer an unfamiliar word. Moment. Layfon's eyes flickered, he clenched his fists tightly, feeling the changes in his body, his excitement was hard to suppress. Sword skill level. Did you reach LV5 in one go? Compared to the Conqueror's Haki one that I signed up for the first time, there is no doubt that the level of swordsmanship I got this time is much higher. The ability obtained by signing in for the second time is not inferior to the Conquerors who signed in for the first time. Layfon took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. The Conquerors obtained by signing in for the first time are very rare, but the level is not high. But this time, swordsmanship, but it was given a level of LV5 at one time. This is the low price that excites Layfon the most. With the ability of the system pouring into the body, Layfon has an illusion in his heart. Like, with a sword in hand, everything in the world can be cut off. This kind of edge and temperament unique to the swordsman was gradually born in Layfon's body. As long as you have a sword in your hand, you can cut steel. Advertisement. Layfon's eyes twinkled, and he looked down at his hands. The hands that have never held a blade give Layfon a feeling that as long as he has a sword in his hand, his strength will be increased by 100 times or 1,000 times. Swordsmanship LV5, is it really stepping into the threshold of swordsmanship and reaching the standard of entry-level swordsmanship? Thought Layfon. He can make preliminary judgments. This level of swordsmanship is by no means too weak. With the amount of knowledge about swordsmanship in his head, Layfon can slightly estimate his current swordsmanship level and what rank the sea is in. With the level of swordsmanship that I have mastered so far, it shouldn't be a problem to deal with those pirates who offer a bounty of tens of millions of berry. This is metamorphosis, the huge transformation of Layfon's strength. Compared with Conqueror's Haki, who was awakened for the first time, the release of swordsmanship LV5 inches this time obviously made Layfon's strength change more obvious. Conquerors, after all, is just a deterrent, not a means of actual combat. But swordsmanship is different. Penultimate's sword skills can make Layfon invincible in battle. Conquerors are of little use against some extremely strong-willed enemies. At this time, you need to have excellent strength yourself to ensure your own life safety. By contrast, Layfon feels that swordsmanship is more practical. Not to mention, the level of swordsmanship given to Layfon by the system this time is not low. You know, this is only the second time Layfon has signed in, but it has already ushered in such a huge transformation and leap in his strength. One can imagine, if you continue to sign in, how terrifying will Layfon's strength be? This point makes Layfon itself look forward to it. The golden sunlight poured down from the window and shone on Layfon's body. The warmth flowed slowly, permeated the body and mind, and filled the heart. It's time to complete the task that the old man gave me. This time, won't it be easy to defeat Coby? I have a level 5 swordsmanship. If I can't easily defeat Coby, a rookie, then I will fail enough. So, Kirby, are you ready? Layfon had a playful smile on his face. He just wants now. Coby's mentality can be more calm. Advertisement. But don't completely collapse your mind because of this duel. If this is the case, then you will be guilty. Call up the properties panel. Layfon checked his current physical attribute panel. Open black lens bracket host. Layfon close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket strength. 7 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket speed. 9 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket physical strength. 6 close black lens bracket. Skills. Swordsmanship LV5, Conqueror's Haki 1. Open black lens bracket skill point. 0 close black lens bracket. Really, as Layfon expected, behind the box on the skill panel, there is an extra label for swordsmanship. Now my strength is not considered weak. Even if I look at the grand line, my strength doesn't feel like it belongs to the bottom group. Using this strength to deal with Coby seems to be a bit bullying. Layfon was all smiles. How is Coby's strength? Layfon doesn't know. But it can be conservatively estimated that Coby's strength is at most comparable to those pirates who offer a bounty of several million berry, not much worse. As for Layfon's current strength, Layfon confident. With the swordsmanship attainments I currently have, I can use it to deal with the grand line, some so-called big pirates who have a bounty of tens of millions of berry, absolutely no pressure. In this contrast, the huge gap between Layfon and Coby can be very obvious and clearly revealed. In other words, it is no exaggeration to say that this matchup between Layfon and Coby. It's like a father hanging and beating his son. What will happen? Of course there is no suspense. Chapter 20 Swordsmanship. This kid also knows swordsmanship. 4 more requests for flowers tickets. Advertisement. Gathering his thoughts a little, Layfon stepped out of the room. The deck of the warship has long been bathed by warm sunlight, and the air temperature has risen sharply. Good sunny weather. Crash. The sea water on both sides of the warship pushed aside, rippling waves, and the clear and melodious sound spread far away. Early in the morning, you can see many Marines, standing on the deck of the warship for drills. Layfon quickly captured the figures of Coby and Barumeber. Coby, let me get a good feel for what my current level of swordsmanship can be. Just use you as a benchmark to measure my own swordsmanship. Layfon narrowed his eyes slightly and smiled playfully. Then, he took a step towards Kebi's side. Mr. Layfon, good morning. Coby is working very hard and earnestly on the current training. When he saw Layfon approaching, he showed a smile and greeted him politely. Morning, do you still remember what I told you yesterday? Layfon asked with a smile. Yesterday, Coby was taken aback. Obviously, he didn't take Layfon's words to heart yesterday, so that his head was a little messy for a while, and it was difficult to recall what Layfon said. Think about it. Coby suddenly had a flash of inspiration, and blurted out with wide eyes. Mr. Layfon, you don't really want to compete with me today, do you? He was stunned. Is there really no need to wait for the 10-day deadline? How long has it been since the task assigned by Vice Admiral Garp? It's only been less than a day. Furthermore, how much can Layfon's strength improve in one day? Coby didn't think that in just one day, Layfon really had the level of strength to beat him. Not to mention a day, even a month, Coby didn't think he would lose. Therefore, Coby was surprised by Layfon's proposed duel. If not, you don't think that what I said yesterday was just a joke? Layfon smiled. Coby was speechless for a moment. He tried to dissuade Layfon from calming down, but couldn't. At this time, here comes Garp. Knowing Layfon's intention, Garp looked at Layfon with a strange expression. Little devil, you are so anxious, do you want to lose to Coby? Just one day before and after, you want to duel with Coby. This is too frizzy and hasty. Garp is not optimistic about Layfon. Garp is very aware of Coby's strength, and it is precisely because of this that he does not feel that Layfon can surpass Coby's hard work of nearly half a month in just one day. If you don't try it, who will know the result? Layfon kept smiling. Seeing Layfon's expression, Garp thought about it, and turned to Coby and said, since that's the case, it's okay for the two of you to have a fair and just competition. Coby, put away all your thoughts. Remember, in the competition, don't hold back. Do your best, your goal is to defeat Layfon. The words fell. Coby hesitated. But, Vice Admiral Garp. Don't talk nonsense with me. Garp looked angry. Yes, Vice Admiral Garp. Coby straightened his back quickly. Everyone, stop the training at hand. Garp yelled to all the Marines around him who were training. Advertisement. Ever since, a group of Marines withdrew from the training and gathered with curious and strange eyes. Soon, the news about Layfon's going to compete with Coby spread to everyone's ears, causing the group of Marines to start various discussions and heated discussions. Coby's strength is not easy. Half a month ago, Coby was still a weak rookie, but now he can definitely be said to be a qualified and excellent Marine soldier. Vice Admiral Garp's grandson, after all, is too young. Do you want to challenge Coby at the age of 7? You really deserve to be the grandson of Vice Admiral Garp. Your courage is commendable, however, the gap in strength cannot be made up by courage. In this battle, there is no suspense about the outcome. All Marines are unanimously optimistic about Coby. Without exception, no one is optimistic about Layfon. Including Garp, who is also one of the people who are not optimistic about Layfon. The age gap between the two parties is too big. Coby is 16, Layfon is 7. Just in terms of age, people will subconsciously think that Coby will definitely win. The strength difference between the physical fitness brought about by the age gap is also completely different. Pokato. Garp called out to his confidant Pokato beside him. Vice Admiral Garp. Pokato hurriedly stood up with a respectful expression. It's okay for you to be the referee. Garp ordered to Pokato. Certainly. Pokato immediately nodded solemnly. For this kind of small competition, he is naturally comfortable as a referee. Both of you, it's up to you, do you understand? Garp immediately instructed Layfon and Coby. Clear. Layfon narrowed his eyes slightly. Yes, Vice Admiral Garp. With a serious expression on his face, Coby turned to speak seriously to Layfon in front of him. Mr. Layfon, I have made it clear in advance that I will not hold back. So, you have to be careful. What a confident young man. Seeing Coby's serious expression, Layfon really couldn't bear to hit him. Therefore, Layfon nodded. You can do your best. Some things are inconvenient to say in the open. But in his heart, Layfon was already deeply moved. Coby, when you do your best, you will find out. You and I are not on the same level at all. The atmosphere on the deck changed silently. The noisy atmosphere gradually cooled down. The surroundings became a small circle, and a relatively spacious middle open area flowed out, which served as the battlefield for the competition between Layfon and Coby. A group of Marines looked at Layfon and Coby with curious and expectant faces. Garp and Belumbo also watched quietly. Are you both ready? Pokato, who was the referee, walked into the center of the battlefield. Pokato's strength is not weak, otherwise he would not be able to become the Naval Headquarters Colonel. Therefore, if he is the referee, he can terminate the competition in time at the critical moment and prevent some sudden accidents during the competition. Already prepared. Coby nodded solemnly, already in full swing. Layfon, what about you? Pokato turned to look at Layfon. Colonel Pokato, can you use a weapon? Layfon asked suddenly. Arms. Pokato was a little surprised, but still nodded. Of course, what weapon do you want to use? Advertisement. Just give me a samurai sword. Layfon doesn't have too many requirements for weapons. It's just a competition, there is no need for a blade with too harsh conditions. Ordinary samurai swords are more than enough to deal with Coby. Samurai sword. Pokato turned and walked towards several Marine soldiers, took out a kind of samurai sword carried by one of them, walked all the way to Layfon, and handed the samurai sword to Layfon. See if it fits. Take the samurai sword. The sense of innate familiarity made Layfon narrow his eyes slightly and feel it carefully. Obviously this is the first time holding a samurai sword. But, the blade in my hand. But it doesn't give Layfon the slightest bit of jerky. Instead, this moment, Layfon feels that he has transformed himself into an experienced swordsman who has held a samurai sword for decades, and the samurai sword in his hand seems to have become his arm, which can be swung at will. Skilled without any hindrance. The knife is my hand and my limbs. Opening his eyes, Layfon held a samurai sword in his hand, his eyes flashed with a bright light. At the same time, a looming aura slowly released from Layfon's body. Belonging to the unique sharp temperament of a swordsman, it lingers around Layfon's body and keeps wandering. This temperament makes Layfon's figure suddenly appear extraordinarily tall and stalwart, and people can't help but subconsciously ignore Layfon's age. Kindness. Pokato, who is closest to Layfon, is a swordsman with a high level of swordsmanship. Of course, he could feel the change in Layfon's temperament when Katana was taken over by Layfon. It can be called earth-shaking changes, from an ordinary person to a swordsman. No doubt, this is the unique aura of a swordsman. Pokato took a deep breath, and looked at Layfon in front of him with eyes full of shock. His head was a little dizzy. What's the situation? It seems that Vice Admiral Garp didn't explain to himself before. His grandson, Layfon, is actually a swordsman who seems to be not weak in swordsmanship. The situation on the scene changed so quickly that Pokato was a little unable to react. Totally unexpected. At the same time, located on the edge of the battlefield, Garp also had an immediate insight. When Layfon held a samurai sword in his hand, the opponent's momentum changed dramatically. In Garp's eyes, Layfon, holding a samurai sword in his hand, is like a sharp blade that is about to be unsheathed, with a looming edge, so sharp that it is impossible to look directly at it. Show your sharpness. This is Sword Hero's aura. Garp really doesn't know swordsmanship. However, he can detect it very keenly. At this moment, the aura emitted by Layfon's body is completely different from the previous moment. This aura emanating from Layfon, with a vigor that seems to pierce and cut everything in the world, has a strong and sharp edge, and it quickly sweeps in all directions. Swordsmanship. This brat also knows swordsmanship. Garp stared at Layfon with wide-eyed eyes. Suddenly feel. My grandson has become an incomparably strange man. Chapter 21 Garp is confused. Subvert Pokato's cognition. One more. Advertisement. What's going on? Garp's head was dizzy, his eyes were wide and round, and his expression was full of shock and bewilderment, staring at the duel that was about to start ahead. He stared blankly at the young figure holding a samurai sword in the center of the battlefield. From Layfon, Garp saw it. The sharp edge of the swordsman is everywhere around Layfon's body. What the hell? What is this for? A lot of perplexing questions suddenly flooded Garp's head, making his whole brain a mess, and his thinking became rigid. Swordsman. When did my grandson Layfon become a swordsman? Why don't you know? Garp opened his mouth, but was unable to speak for a while. Can anyone explain to me? Layfon, kid, what happened to him? It's been a day since I saw each other. This kid actually turned into a swordsman. Can't understand. It's unbelievable. Even Garp was deeply shocked by what he saw. Originally Garp felt that Layfon suddenly asked for a samurai sword as a weapon. He also thought that Layfon was just pretending to be calm and using weapons to strengthen his courage. But Garp really didn't expect it. When the samurai sword is held by Layfon, the temperament of the body will change so much. Garp felt the unique aura of a swordsman from Layfon. This can't be just a bluff. A fox pretends to be a tiger. This momentum cannot be faked. With the blade in hand, there is no jerky feeling. A knife is like a hand, a man is like a blade. Layfon, kid, when did he reach this level? Garp fixed his eyes on Layfon, with a shocked expression on his face, unable to calm down. He really doesn't know swordsmanship. But he has come into contact with too many sword masters. The top swordsman in the sea, Garp also has a lot of contacts. Therefore, Garp, who doesn't know swordsmanship, knows how to tell if a swordsman is good or not. Obviously, all that Layfon has shown in front of me is definitely not something a novice can do. With a knife in his hand, he exudes the unique temperament and sharpness of this kind of swordsman. Obviously, advertisement. Only those sword masters with certain attainments can behave like this. If he felt the edge in someone else, Garp wouldn't be surprised. But the question is, why is this person his grandson Layfon? In my memory, Garp never remembered that Layfon had said that he knew swordplay. This brat, I have never said before that he has a good level of swordsmanship. Have you been hiding it all this time? Not right. He didn't seem to be hiding before, but why is it now? When this little devil holds a samurai sword in his hand, he exudes this kind of edge that is exclusive to swordsmen. Garp's head hummed as if it had been hit hard by something heavy. Racking his brains, he couldn't figure out all the weird events happening before his eyes. So many weird things happened to Layfon. Garp was a little numb from Layfon's shock. Also, as the colonel of naval headquarters, Pokato was also shocked by the swordsman temperament displayed by Layfon. This is not something a novice who is new to swordsmanship can do. Layfon, his level of swordsmanship is probably not low. Vice Admiral Garp, you didn't tell me before. Your grandson Layfon, his swordsmanship has reached this level. Pokato took a deep breath, but still couldn't calm down the shaking mood. But Pokato didn't know. At this moment, Garp is also confused and in a state of bewilderment. Ask me why. How the hell do I know why? Layfon, this brat, how did I know that he actually knows swordsmanship? I was also kept in the dark. Garp was still in shock. How to judge the swordsmanship attainment of a swordsman? First, look at the action first. Pokato watched Layfon carefully as he held the katana. 2 words to describe. Calm. So calm. There is no such frizz as a novice who is new to swordsmanship, just like a pool of stagnant water, without any movement, and the calmness makes Pokato very terrified in his heart. This calmness of mind alone, in Pokato's view, is by no means possessed by ordinary people. Secondly, look at the posture of holding the knife. Pokato observed Layfon's katana in his hand again. Layfon's legs are relatively bent, holding a samurai sword, his face is calm, without any emotional waves, the blade is in his hand, steady and without any movement. Like a potential dragon in an abyss. One touch. This is an experienced swordsman. After years of training, he has practiced the posture of holding the sword physically and mentally. Without 3 to 5 years of experience in swordsmanship, it is impossible to achieve this level. Pokato made up his mind. Advertisement. Finally, judging the strength of a swordsman is his eyes. Pokato turned his gaze. The way he looked at Layfon. I see. Layfon's pupils are full of charm, without the slightest timidity and panic, but full of strong self-confidence, as if everything is under control. In the eyes, there is really a god. Pokato's throat was dry, he took a deep breath, and swallowed subconsciously. His mood was ups and downs, more violent, like a raging ocean wave after wave washed over his emotions, making it difficult to calm down and calm down. Based on the above analysis, Pokato can draw a judgment. This is a qualified and excellent swordsman. Layfon, swordsmanship is extraordinary. Then, here comes the problem. What Pokato never expected was. He unexpectedly, from a child who was only 7 years old, saw these unique standards that only an excellent swordsman should possess. Is this starting to hone swordsmanship from the womb? Otherwise, how can you have such a level of swordsmanship? Do not. Even if this is starting to hone swordsmanship in the womb, it shouldn't be so exaggerated. As an excellent swordsman, and even a colonel of naval headquarters, Pokato has seen many outstanding swordsmen, and has had duels, collisions, and death battles with many swordsmen. However, Pokato can be sure. There has never been a swordsman, like the Layfon in front of him, who is completely beyond the scope of common sense, but at this age, he controls the level of swordsmanship beyond the age range. Only Layfon is the most special exception. Looking at this boundless sea, it is absolutely impossible to find a second similar example. If you don't see it with your own eyes, I'm afraid, even I don't dare to imagine that such a freak really exists in this sea. Vice Admiral Garp, your grandson Layfon, seems a bit too scary. This is no longer what a genius can describe. This is a monster through and through. The scene in front of him undoubtedly overturned the cognition of Pokato, who is a colonel of naval headquarters and has acquired an excellent swordsman. Chapter 22. The levels are completely different. Defeated without a fight. Second update. Advertisement. Huge warship. Deck. Hundreds of Marines were full of anticipation and curiosity, watching the 2 figures in the center of the battlefield with great interest. Who do you think will win? It doesn't matter, of course it's Coby. No, although Vice Admiral Garp's grandson must have a very terrifying talent. But the age limit is here, and this is not a gap that talent can make up in a short time. That's right, Coby has also gone through half a month of devilish training from Vice Admiral Garp. No matter how bad he is, he can't be defeated by a child, right? There was a lot of talk. This is a one-sided decision. Almost everyone agrees. Coby would win, Layfon would lose. Vice Admiral Garp, why, I always feel. Mr. Layfon, he seems to be a different person. Belumbo stood beside Garp, asking in a low voice with some anxiety and restraint. Yes, he feels it. The Layfon of the previous moment is completely different from the Layfon of this moment. It's as if it's a different person. At this time, the aura and oppression emanating from Layfon made Belumbo feel the looming oppression in the fringe area outside the battlefield. Even the breathing becomes a little messy and has no sense of rhythm. You really feel it. Garp glanced at Belumbo beside him. Well, it's very obvious, it's definitely not my illusion. Belumbo looked serious and solemn. He admitted that his feelings could not be wrong. Obviously Layfon didn't make a substitution, but the momentum and all aspects gave Belumbo a completely strange feeling. Even from Layfon at this moment, Belumbo felt a faint oppression sweeping over his heart, which made him subconsciously feel timid. This made Belumbo completely incomprehensible. Why? Your feelings are right. Garp looked away, deeply forgetting Layfon, who was holding a samurai sword, and his tone was a little emotional. Really changed. Belumbo was startled. In a sense, yes. The Layfon is still the Layfon, but on the other hand, the Layfon is not the Layfon you're used to. What Garp said was mysterious. For a while, Belumbo couldn't understand, and his head was a little dizzy. Do you know that there is a kind of person in this world? On weekdays, he's a little silly, the kind who looks easy to bully. But when he is serious, he will become another person, a very calm and terrifying person. Although the description of this example is not very appropriate, if you describe it this way, you should be able to understand what I just said. Garp's words were very brief. Have no choice. Belumbo still couldn't understand, and didn't dare to ask too much again, so he had to give up. Advertisement. He stared at Layfon on the battlefield with eyes full of awe, unable to move. Original. Beru Meber believes that Kebi's chances of winning are close to 99%. However, this moment, Balumbo's faith was shaken. Kebi, maybe, probably, it will work. Beru Meber didn't even notice it himself, he felt a little guilty. Layfon, what he brought me was not a surprise, but a fright. Garp looked at Layfon's back and couldn't help complaining. So far, his mood is still difficult to calm down the shocking emotional waves. He hadn't been mentally prepared at all before. Not only does Layfon know swordsmanship, but his swordsmanship attainment does not seem to be low. At least, using this level of swordsmanship to deal with Kebi is like killing a chicken with a sledgehammer. Overkill. It's only been a day since I announced the mission goal. This Layfon guy is subverting people's perceptions all the time. Garp thought. He thought he already knew Layfon well. Until now, Garp suddenly woke up. Emotion. He has never understood Layfon, and has never understood that Layfon's terrifying talent is countless times higher than what he thought before. What an out-and-out monster. Garp couldn't resist labeling Layfon a monster again. In the battlefield, Mr. Layfon, he, seems to be a different person. Coby was shocked. He also noticed it. Huge changes in Layfon. Now, being pointed at by Layfon holding a samurai sword, Coby felt his hairs stand on end. This kind of trembling and uneasiness from the heart and soul made Kebi's head a little flustered, and his body became a little stiff, and he lost his original normal state of preparation for battle. From the moment you pick up your katana, Mr. Layfon, it has become so strange. Coby took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. Do not, instead of using stranger to describe it. Perhaps it would be more appropriate to use the word terrible to describe it. From the moment Layfon held the katana, he became extremely terrifying. The atmosphere is depressing. There was no sound at the scene. Advertisement. Kebi's throat was dry, and he swallowed subconsciously. His eyes were full of vigilance, and he stared at Layfon in front of him, not daring to be careless. He was very tense, and he had already pulled up his spirits. A faint sharp edge, the breath of a swordsman, emanated from Layfon's body and spread in all directions. Show your sharpness and sweep the audience. Soon, the sharp edge enveloped Kebi's body. Cold. It's so cold that you get goosebumps all over your body. The surrounding temperature seemed to drop suddenly. It was like, the body fell into a cold ice bank. What happened? Coby's eyes were filled with horror. He only felt that being enveloped by this icy breath, his whole body became unnatural. The movements are a little stiff. The body's nerves seem to be about to freeze, and the ability to respond plummeted. The sea breeze blows gently around. Many Marines have also noticed it. A little chilly. What's the matter? It's a hot day, why do I feel a little cold? Yeah, it's weird, I feel it too. Some faint voices lingered in the crowd. Unfortunately, Kebi, you've already lost. Pokato, who has been observing the battlefield as a referee, couldn't help sighing when he saw Kebi's expression and movements. It can be felt very clearly. The levels of the two sides are completely different. Kebi still doesn't know what level of strength he is currently facing Layfon. Just because of the comparison of momentum between the two sides, Kebi was overwhelmingly crushed by Layfon in all aspects. It's not Kirby's problem. Can only say, Layfon's talent for swordsmanship is terrifying and unimaginable. Pokato was deeply moved. In fact, this competition has developed to this point, and there is no need to continue. As a result, it is very obvious. It can be said that there is no suspense. The level gap between the two is too great. Although so far, the battle has not officially started. But when Kebi, the sharp edge released by Layfon swept his body. Can announce, Kebi, lose before fighting. Chapter 23A face-to-face meeting, and Kebi is gone in an instant. Open black lens bracket third watch close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Coby, we lost. Garp quietly watched the movement of the battlefield. Beside, Beru Meber seemed to have misheard, and couldn't help but raised his head and asked, Vice Admiral Garp, do you mean that Coby will lose to Mr. Layfon? Do not. Garp shook his head. Then what do you mean? Belumbo expressed doubts. Coby is not going to lose, but in fact, he has already lost. Garp spoke again. What does this mean? Belumbo was stunned. He stared blankly at the battlefield, his expression even more confused and stunned. Obviously, the battle has not even started. How do you say Coby has lost? It is really incomprehensible. At this time, an overwhelming sense of oppression swept over Kebi's body. Even though Kebi was full of energy and tense, he couldn't resist the sharp edge released from Layfon. Coby, are you ready? Layfon holds a katana, the sharp blade pointed at Coby in front of him. At this moment, Layfon is like a sharp sword about to be unsheathed. Going to this stop, before making a move, Kebi has been given endless oppression. Powerful. A powerful momentum swept Kebi's body and mind. Coby felt it, from the pressure brought by Layfon in front of me. It made Kebi unbelievable. He never dreamed that Layfon would bring him such a tremendous pressure, making his limbs slightly stiff. Mr. Layfon, when on earth did you? Coby stared at Layfon in horror. He finally felt it. The terrifying aura emanating from Layfon's body, the terrifying edge unique to swordsmen, lingered in all directions, squeezing every cell in Kebi's body. Gap. This moment, Kebi could clearly feel the huge gap between him and Layfon in front of him. There must be something wrong. These may just be my illusions. Kebi shook his head violently, throwing away all the thoughts in his mind. He couldn't take it at all. Layfon actually brought him such a majestic sense of oppression. It's incredible. Coby couldn't believe what was happening in front of his eyes. I'm ready to attack, Coby. Don't be careless. Layfon left this sentence at the end. Advertisement. The words fell. Coby had goosebumps all over his body, as if he was being targeted by a beast. The ubiquitous sense of crisis pierced his heart. It made him feel only a chill, rising from the soles of his feet to the top of the sky. It's hard to guard against. The ubiquitous sense of crisis impacted Coby's 5 senses, weakening his 5 senses infinitely. It's just like every weak point of the body has been exposed to Layfon's gaze. This feeling completely swept Coby's heart. Moment. Right in Coby's eyes. Whoosh. Layfon's figure seemed to disappear out of thin air. In place, empty. So fast. Coby shrank his pupils, his face full of shock. He reacted quickly and looked around, trying to catch Layfon's figure. Can't find it. Layfon seemed to have disappeared on the deck. A ray of coldness swept over Coby's whole body from his back. Behind. Coby turned around quickly and looked behind him. Really, he saw Layfon. But, it's too late. Coby, your movements are too stiff. And, it's too slow. Layfon held a samurai sword, and at some point, he was already standing directly behind Coby. The sharp samurai sword, held by Layfon, released a surging sense of oppression all over his body, spreading to Coby's body and completely enveloping him. Coby, who was squeezed by this terrifying breath, couldn't move his body. Like a statue, Coby was completely rigid and motionless in place. Exactly, when Coby was stunned. Can feel it. There was a slight chill on his own neck. The cold samurai sword was already attached to Coby's neck less than an inch away. The cold light flickered. The biting coldness made Coby tremble in his heart. But Coby changed slightly. This knife will take Coby's life. Let Coby's head fall. Layfon, holding a samurai sword, stood quietly in front of Coby, breathing calmly and skillfully, staring sharply at Coby in front of him. Like a seasoned and experienced powerful swordsman. For a moment, the outcome is decided. Advertisement. No doubt, this duel is a crush. Comprehensive crushing. Coby was easily and comprehensively crushed by Layfon, who was only 7 years old, without any power to fight back. Just one face-to-face meeting, Coby was instantly defeated by Layfon. If this duel happened on the battlefield, so, there is no doubt that Coby is dead, reduced to a cold corpse. Layfon, of course, has kept his hand in the end. Otherwise, Coby's head would have already fallen on the deck and rolled. Quick. Too fast. The battle has not yet begun, but it is coming to an end. No one could have imagined that this duel would come to an end so quickly. Also, the result of this duel also left everyone around stunned, their faces full of shock beyond words. I regret to tell you. Coby, you lost. Layfon spoke slowly with a smile on his face. For a while, the deck surrounded by hundreds of Marines seemed extraordinarily silent. The atmosphere is weird. No sound. Silent. It makes people feel hairy. Pairs of eyes full of shock, dullness, and horror all froze on the battlefield. Everyone stared blankly. This scene where Layfon is holding a katana with the blade resting on Coby's neck. As a result, it has appeared. It's just that for this result, almost everyone said it was unimaginable, unbelievable. Spike. This duel will eventually show a spike ending. Most of the Marines present were deeply shocked. Previously. Of course they never expected it. Coby would lose. What they can't even imagine is, Coby not only lost, still got killed in seconds. Defeated by an instant kill. I lost. Coby stood there blankly, his eyes staring blankly. Chapter 24 Colonel Pocado, who almost lost his life at the end of the festival. Open black lens bracket for more close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Crash. The sea breeze blows gently. The waves were surging, and waves of ripples spread in all directions. The atmosphere is silent. Weird. A pair of shocking eyes stared blankly at the two figures on the battlefield. One big and one small. Coby, who was 16 years old, was stiff in place, motionless. And on the opposite side of Coby, Layfon, who is only 7 years old, holds a samurai sword, the sharp blade of which is already resting on Coby's neck. The outcome is clear at a glance. Coby lost. Fiasco. A face-to-face is a second away. Who could have predicted this result in advance? No one could have imagined that Coby would lose, and was instantly killed by Layfon, who was only 7 years old. All of this was too shocking to the world, subverting the cognition of everyone present. It's too scary. Coby, you actually lost. A weak voice, full of shock, sounded from the crowd. This voice, like a fuse, instantly ignited the horrified emotional waves in the hearts of the crowd. Ever since, the entire deck changed from a silent atmosphere to an unparalleled noise in an instant. Oh my god, Coby really lost, and it was a disastrous defeat. He was instantly killed by Vice Admiral Garp's grandson. Crush. This is an overwhelming crush. I never thought that Coby didn't even have the ability to fight back. He was instantly killed in less than a split second. This is really unimaginable. Hundreds of Marines were in shock. Everyone, without exception, stared at the battlefield with a pair of eyes full of horror. Previously, they all believed that Coby would undoubtedly win. Finally, when the results came out, they were stunned. Not only was Coby defeated, but he was also defeated by an instant kill. This undoubtedly impacted their thinking and overturned their previous views. It's too tragic. Who would have imagined that Coby didn't even have the ability to fight back, so he was instantly killed? Coby, after all, he has gone through half a month of devil-like training from Vice Admiral Garp, right? It stands to reason that his strength is already stronger than ours. But he still lost. A face-to-face, instant kill. A group of Marines were shocked. In their eyes, advertisement. Coby can already be regarded as a very good and qualified Marine. Never thought about it. Even so, Coby was still instantly killed by Layfon, who was only 7 years old. If they hadn't witnessed it with their own eyes, the many Marines present would not have dared to imagine it. You know, the grandson of Vice Admiral Garp is only 7 years old. At only 7 years old, can he kill Coby easily? My god, this talent is too scary. A pair of eyes full of shock and horror fixed on Layfon's body. Layfon, who is only 7 years old, gave all the Marines present an unparalleled sense of shock. Yes, 7 years old, but easily killed Coby in seconds. Coby, who was only 16 years old, was helpless during the whole process. This duel is a crush. Coby was completely crushed by the 7-year-old Layfon on the opposite side. Grandson of Vice Admiral Garp, seems a bit too scary. It's hard to imagine that such an astonishing feat can be achieved at the age of 7. As expected of the grandson of Vice Admiral Garp, this talent is beyond common sense. He is only 7 years old, but his strength has already surpassed countless people in the sea. Bursting sounds of exclamation hovered in all directions. Defeated. Coby, I really lost. Belumbo stood on the edge of the battlefield, looking at the trend of the battle ahead with a dazed face. He couldn't even dream of it. Coby, he really lost. And, was instantly killed by Layfon on the opposite side. Too fast. This duel has only just begun, and it has already ushered in the end. Even Belumber didn't even see clearly when Layfon made the shot. Then all I could see was a samurai sword on Coby's neck. Thus it is announced that the battle is over. Coby lost. Good, so strong. Mr. Layfon, you are really strong. Belumbo's lips trembled as he stared at the immature and young figure holding a samurai sword on the battlefield. Stronger than he imagined. The other party is only 7 years old. At the age of 7, he has such terrifying strength. This made Belumbo dare not think, give the other party a little more time, how terrifying the other party will grow to. Vice Admiral Garp is right. From the beginning, Coby lost. It was only at this time that Belumbo realized the true meaning of what Garp said just now. Loud atmosphere. Coby was still in a daze, frozen in place. Of course he couldn't imagine that he himself really lost. Lost to Layfon, who was only 7 years old. Advertisement. This made Coby completely unacceptable. I was instantly killed. Coby's throat was dry and he was stunned. Not only did he lose, but he was killed in a crushing manner. This allows Coby to feel very deeply the gap between him and Layfon. The strength gap is too great. This moment, it was only then that Coby realized that his own strength was not at the same level as Layfon's. Turn out to be, is there such a big gap between me and Mr. Layfon? Coby still couldn't recover. Call. As the referee, Colonel Marine Pokato let out a heavy breath, and he looked at Layfon, who was holding a samurai sword in the battlefield with lingering fear. So far so good. At the critical moment, Layfon stopped. Otherwise, the consequences would be serious. Of course Pokato would not admit it. The moment Layfon made a move just now, even Pokato himself was almost unable to keep up with Layfon's movements, let alone stop Layfon's tricks. Luckily, Layfon stopped. That's why it didn't lead to a catastrophe. Otherwise, Pokato felt that his face as Colonel Marine would be lost today. The dignified colonel of Naval Headquarters couldn't even stop a 7-year-old's move in time. If the news gets out, should he continue to hang around in the Marine? How the hell do I know? Layfon, the grandson of Vice Admiral Garp, he's such a monster. This time it's really thrilling. Almost ruined it for Layfon boy. Pokato raised his hand and wiped the cold sweat that inadvertently flowed from his forehead, calming down a little. Chapter 25. Your grandson Layfon is a monster among monsters. Advertisement. Colonel Pokato, haven't you announced the result yet? Layfon looked at Pokato, who was in a state of lingering fear with a smile on his face. Heard the words. Pokato quickly reacted and officially announced the result of this duel. This duel is coming to an end here, and the winner is Layfon. Since then, the showdown ends. A group of Marines were still amazed, staring at the immature and young figure with a katana in the center of the deck. They were filled with emotion for a moment. I can't even dream of it. A child who was only 7 years old actually achieved the feat of defeating Coby. Not just to defeat, but to kill in seconds. Instantly kill Coby. Who could have predicted this? Ended. Coby was in a trance, still standing there blankly. Lost. He himself didn't expect that he would lose so badly. Instantly killed by Layfon on the opposite side. Layfon, who was only 7 years old, killed himself in one sight. This is really unimaginable for Coby. Withdrawing the samurai sword in his hand, Layfon walked to Pokato's side and returned the samurai sword to the other party. Colonel Pokato, return this knife to you. No, I think it's more suitable for you. Besides, you really need a handy weapon. Although the quality of this samurai sword is not very high. Pokato shook his head with a smile. Unexpectedly. At such a young age, swordsmanship is so good. Pokato was very emotional. It's really a new generation replacing the old. A swordsman who is only 7 years old. It's incredible. If he hadn't witnessed it with his own eyes, Pokato would certainly not be able to accept it. A child who is only 7 years old has already mastered such a proficient and not low level of swordsmanship. From Layfon, Pokato saw all the qualities that a qualified and excellent swordsman should possess. It can be said, Layfon, who is only 7 years old, is an excellent and qualified swordsman. Vice Admiral Garp, your grandson's talent is truly remarkable. Pokato couldn't help but sigh in his heart. He saw it for the first time. Someone's talent in swordsmanship can be so powerful. Obviously just a child, but holding a samurai sword gave Pokato the same sense of sight as if he was facing an experienced swordsman. In that case, I will not be polite. Layfon is not too polite. Coincidentally, he also lacks a weapon. Although this samurai sword is not of superior quality, it is produced in Marine, so the quality must not be inferior. Advertisement. Of course, there is no comparison with those famous swords in Dahai, such as Liang Kuei Dao and Da Kuei Dao. But at least, for now, this samurai sword can already meet Layfon's sword skills needs. Layfon's swordsmanship level is just at the entry-level stage, so he won't be able to use a famous sword for a while, and an ordinary and sophisticated katana sword will do. Of course, as the level of swordsmanship increases, Layfon also needs to replace better famous swords. But that's for another day. Famous knife. A symbol of a swordsman's identity and strength. Sooner or later, I will also get a famous knife of my own. Layfon's eyes twinkled, thinking to himself. As a qualified swordsman, how can he lack an excellent famous sword? If you don't have a famous sword to accompany you, wouldn't your status as a swordsman be very cheap? Then, Layfon secretly set a small goal in his heart. Must get a famous knife. A famous knife that belongs to you. But now that there are no conditions, Layfon can only make do with an ordinary and sophisticated samurai sword. The level of swordsmanship is only LV5, but the demand for the blade in hand is not too great. As the level of swordsmanship gets higher and higher, the improvement of swordsmanship brought by a good blade will become more and more obvious. Brat. Just at this moment, a dull voice sounded from Layfon's ear. Turn around and look. It's Garp. I see. Garp looked down at Layfon from a height, with a surprised expression on his face, his eyes widened like a donkey eyes, staring at Layfon firmly. Say, when did you know how to use swordsmanship? How many unknown means are you hiding? In addition to conquerors, you kid actually has something to do with swordsmanship. It seems that your swordsmanship attainment is not very low. Good boy, I have fooled you. If you don't give me a satisfactory explanation this time, I will let you taste the iron fist full of love. After all, Garp already raised his iron fist with his right hand, looking menacing. Aside, Pokato also cast a curious look, quietly waiting for Layfon's answer. He couldn't figure it out either. A child who is only 7 years old, why is his swordsmanship not weak? Also, Layfon's posture, movements, and other aspects of holding a katana are like those of an experienced swordsman who has been practicing swords for more than 10 years. But the problem is, Layfon is only 7 years old. Even if you started to hone your sword skills in the womb, you shouldn't act so experienced. Can't fathom. Advertisement. Things are going too weirdly. All of this made it difficult for Pokato to think of a reason. Kindness. Wait a moment. Suddenly, Pokato seemed to have thought of a key point. Vice Admiral Garp, what did you just say? The moment Pokato reacted, his eyes widened immediately, and he looked at Garp beside him with shock and horror. His throat was dry and he couldn't speak. He was belatedly and had just digested Garp's remarks. What did Vice Admiral Garp say? Conquerors. What the hell? Myself, did you hear me wrong? Have auditory hallucinations. Layfon, not only is he skilled in swordsmanship. Even, he's still in control, Conqueror's Haki. This. Pokato was in a terrified mood, and fixed his eyes on Layfon with a face full of horror. Grunt. His throat rolled, and he swallowed involuntarily, with a horrified and bewildered expression. Simply horrifying the world. Pokato only felt that his head was hit hard by a heavy object, his whole head became dizzy, and his thinking was in a mess. Can anyone explain to me? What's the situation? Layfon, what kind of monster is he? That's Conqueror's Haki. Conquerors that 1 in a million has. Unexpectedly, it was controlled by Layfon, a 7-year-old kid. God. Pokato could no longer calm down, his own shocking mood. All the things he experienced that day made Pokato feel that his worldview was already facing the edge of breaking. From Layfon, Pokato saw too many incredible things. Gradually, Pokato's mood was numb from the shock of Layfon. Vice Admiral Garp, your family is a bunch of out-and-out monsters. Among them, your grandson Layfon. He is a monster among monsters. After Pokato calmed down for a moment, he couldn't help but make complaints. As a dignified naval headquarters colonel and a penultimate swordsman, what happened today still made Pokato subvert his cognition.